one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. I'll ask the Court Treasurer to call the roll.
Barnes. Hastings.
Here.
Lynch.
Here.
Pistol.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion second to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Any discussion? I'll ask for a vote.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
This time, looked over, I'll entertain a motion second to approve the July 14th regular meeting minutes and also the July 20th minutes regarding the netting for the softball grant and the monthly financials as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I'll ask for a roll call.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Brings us down to department head reports. We'll start off with Airport Commission. Jason Hayes.
Good evening. The grant we have coming up is a seal coat, crack seal. We're waiting on the contractor to get here. They changed the stuff that they use on the runways. So there's about 5 people in the nation that do it. So they're a little bit backed up, but we should be having that done before winter time, before it really becomes an issue of the freezing of the cracks and such.
I'm saying back door was fixed.
Back door is fixed.
Yeah, last meeting, Will was saying it wasn't open. Also the jury, I told the county I'd mentioned they had jury orientation here and also a court. They're grateful that we let us use that. It'll come up later under the unfinished business or new business about the CARES Act money that's coming back to airport. We'll have a motion, a second for that. One of the things, Will Dawson also got the bird problem fixed. We were getting starlings in here and they come down and fix that. But the other issue is William Keith is probably going to step down as one of the commissioners. He's not been able to make the meetings and busy with work. I guess they're super busy, so I'll entertain between now and next month, just think about someone to put on the board. Jimmy Kidd was the last one and he was sick from the last meeting, so but he said he'd be here the next one. That's all I had.
We're also airspacing a new hangar for Dawson's, looking to expand again. So that's something that we'll probably be before y'all for the gap financing. The way the grant works, we have to have 100% of the grant, and usually about a month process, and we get that money back to y'all through the grant fund. So that's something we'll be looking at again. Again, he's talking about putting forth all the upfront money, so no cost to the airport or the city in the long run, just a little bit of gap financing there we'll need help with.
Yeah, and he's talked about it. They'll let us know in advance before
Yes,
the
sir.
meeting. So, anything else on the airport?
What kind of expansion is he looking at?
Just another hangar so he can add more workers and more business.
Like on a federal grant or a state grant or?
It'd be a state grant.
Okay.
Aeronautics. The federal grants don't fund the same way the states do. The state requires 100%, where the federal understands, you've only got to put forth your 20% or 10%, whichever grant you apply for. Where the state wants 100% up front, and then they reimburse you back the 80%.
Yeah. But they're only allowed one grant a year or from the state or?
We do multiple grants. It's all just
For hangars though?
For hangars?
You do one a year
I'm not sure on that, to be honest with you. I know his last one was last year, so
Yeah,
if
right.
that's the case, then we're still okay.
or? Okay. But it's not gonna be a revenue producing thing,
Well, his upfront money will pay rents up, prepay rents, and then once that amount runs out, then it'll be revenue producing for the airport.
Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Animal control, work's ongoing up at the shelter. The HVAC guy is gonna be there tomorrow, I think between 6:45 and 7. Gonna meet Charles and myself up there, looking at draw and where we need vents and where we need intake, duct work. The system is fine, both units are fine. We're just having a little bit of problem of moisture, and Charles on the front end said, I think it's just sucking it in, it's creating a vacuum, and he's actually right on that. So we'll have a guy stop tomorrow and tell us about the size of vents we need. As soon as we know that and can get them in, we'll talk about insulation on it. As of right now, we were just gonna put cellulose on the ceiling. I think you got both ceilings done on both sides of that shelter. I mean, you've had them done a while, so. We may, after tomorrow, we may wanna put some, blown, some expansion, blown insulation, not the cellulose, on the ceiling. I don't know that yet. Other things that we just need to get done is, Will Hinchy's looking for a water, to boost our pressure, inline, single line, so we don't have to have a pressure washer. We can just have 2 spigots on each side and 120 pounds or whatever, 100 pounds, and put nozzles on that can handle that. That'll make it a lot quicker. Basically, just trying to get the facility ready, and then we'll see about when we're gonna open. September 8th meeting, I'll have a pretty good idea, I think, of when we're gonna try to open it, I hope. Also, maybe even before that meeting, late August, 1st and 2nd of September, meet again with the folks that was out there, start talking about the number of days once we open. Put it on the next meeting if we can hammer that out. If not, how long are we gonna keep an animal? Do we wanna go pick it, and the process of, and also talked to about 3 or 4 people that talked about being a manager. I want to talk to them again before our next meeting, try to make a decision on this. Later in this meeting, I want to move $20,000 from grants and development to an animal control line item, which I think is not there. But we'll do that under new business. One thing we'll discuss too, and I talked to Dina before we came over here, Eddie Morgan still has the control of the trust. So I think Dina is wanting us the city to pay the bills, and then Eddie reimburse us. It might be better in an audit. So whatever she recommends is what I would agree with for sure. Any other questions on any of that? Okay, brings us down to fire department.
Since I missed the last meeting, and so a couple of these may be from right around that time, you may have already heard about them or not. But we did have a structure fire here on 65 South, which was Derek Hollister's house. It was a total loss, but there was a good turnout, and some of you guys already know that. I'm proud of the guys for what they done on that fire. We've got a fire alarm at Ozark Health, a call for gas smell at the Shell station down in Choctaw. We had a call for back of a truck was on fire under Highway 65 bridge over here by Oves. I think they pretty much had it out before everybody really got there. We used the jaws on a wreck out here on Highway 16 west. It was 5 miles out. It was outside the city, but we were the closest ones. They called and asked, and we were there on scene. There was entrapment, so we got to help them do that. We also had a fire alarm at Leffler Estates. That seems to be an ongoing thing, and hopefully somebody gets their system straightened out before long. We had a fire call at Pizza Hut. Their fryer had caught fire. Basically, all it was, everything was fine. They wanted us to come and verify that everything's okay. They pulled the Ansel system. The workers done exactly what they should have done. I'm very proud of them for what they've done. We had a fire alarm pull at Walmart. Somebody was going out the door and decided they pull a funny and pulled the alarm, so now they're in trouble and we're okay. So Walmart's all right too. The most interesting thing that happened, we had a call for an airplane just the other day that was coming in. The landing gear was broken or didn't come down on the back of the plane, so we were here with foam on our trucks ready to go just in case. That pilot was an excellent pilot, and everything worked perfect. The front landing gear held, so he was able to do a flyover. We could assess the situation, and then when he came back through, he put it down and just, it couldn't have been any better. He skidded off the runway, but that was great. Our repeater system that I've been telling y'all about, we've had a problem with. I went ahead and ordered a new repeater and duplexer. The system we've had has been in there since Bill Oaf was fire chief, so 15, 20 years. So we now have a new duplexer and repeater in our station, our our station where our radio system's at. The old repeater is still working. We're gonna have it as a spare, and when I say a spare, if something happens like a tornado and it takes out our system north of town, we can run it up there, hook up. But if the antennas or anything gets blown away with the tower that it's on, we could actually set that repeater up wherever we want to. We can set it up at Choctaw, put some small antennas on to give us communications. So we're in good shape there. Duplexer costs too much, and we're not gonna do that because you get into FCC rules, so we're not gonna worry about that, but we do have a backup now. I remember, Mr. Mayor, and I hadn't talked to you about this because it just hit me today, that y'all were talking with Dan Lovelady with the water department. So I had called Will today, and he said that y'all were meeting with him maybe next Wednesday. I was wondering if there was a possibility of maybe having Mr. Lovelady come up here and sit down with all of us or the members on the fire department committee to talk about maybe a bond for the fire department. We do have the tax money coming in on the sales tax, and that's a lot of our issue right now is trying to decide about a fire station. We have people that want it on the highway, we have 1 bay, 3 bays. So I think if we actually could sit down with Mr. Lovelady and get an idea of what kind of funding we could get out of that, that would give us a better idea, y'all a better idea of what we can spend, pay for it, without having to wait for those checks to keep coming in 4 times a year. Just a suggestion.
Sure.
That's entirely up to y'all.
Do you want him to come at the next meeting, or you want him to come at?
Anytime. I mean, I'd be glad to talk to him. We'd have
I'll
a
talk
work
to everybody
session,
else.
whatever.
Sure. I want to see him this Wednesday,
Mhm.
and we're going down to talk to ADQ. Really, that's the main reason we're going, but he's.
Yeah, he said y'all were just going early and trying to catch him right quick, so I thought it might be good if we can get him to come up here and do a work
For sure.
session.
For
That way
sure.
everybody's on board.
Backing up, you didn't need anything on a motion in a second? On
Yes, I have. Going back to the radio system. With the purchase of the radio system, I need to ask for approval for $7,950 out of the sales tax that we're receiving from the county to pay for that system.
Okay, you need a motion second to move or to spend $7,000?
We already have that. That fund is in a special account
Fire
that is
department
strictly,
special fund.
yes, it's strictly sales tax money that comes in from the county. It's on the fund.
$7,950.
Yes, sir. That's what the total of the 2
Motion
bills.
second.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? I'll ask for a roll call.
Hastings,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay,
And purchase of that repeater and that duplexer is covered under Act 833, and that's what the stipulations are of that money that we receive from that sales tax, is to spend it under Act 833 guidelines. Other than that, I have nothing further. If y'all have any questions?
no, I had some good compliments on y'all for getting over here with the plane. So, good. Anything else for the chief? Thank you. Brings us down to Parks and Rec and Street Department report, Charles Wilson.
I combined the recycling. So instead of having 5 days and driving from one end of the town to the other end of the town every day picking up recycling, I combined it and broke it up into 3 days. We got downtown, we got north, and then we got south. And it's gonna save me lots of money on fuel. Because before, we'd be over here at Honey Hills, and then we'd have to go to Choctaw, and then we'd have to come back and dump. And I think the route was just thrown together as people called in. Well, I need my recycling picked up tomorrow, so and then they just thought. So we just combined it, and so far it's looking like it's gonna work out pretty good. So not had but one call on it, and everything's working good on that. The grass is growing again at the park. It's like, wow. I enjoyed the break, but softball's about to wind up. I think they're doing their tournament today, tomorrow, and Thursday.
Friday. I think Friday's the last game. I think.
Thursday.
Is it?
Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I believe that's the text he sent me, so we got it all cleaned up, got it ready. Other than that, we're plugging away. We got a little water in the creek, so we got the pond back up to normal. I was sweating in there for a little while, so. Street department, we've put in 3 tiles this week, cleaned out several ditches. Mr. Malone with the state highway department helped me with a tree today. I cut it down and his crew come in and cleaned it up and blocked traffic and cleaned it all up right there on, was that Fraser?
Yeah, Fraser.
Fraser. So we got that old dead snag out of the way before it smashed somebody. We gonna have to start mowing streets again. Like I said, I enjoyed the break, but they
I did
didn't pay
too.
for it. So we needed the rain though. If it rains tomorrow, I'll be like, yay. So other than that, if anybody's got any questions?
I've been seeing a lot of brush out on the sides. Are they getting worse again?
Yeah, it comes and goes. Nobody really wants to go by that 4x4 pile rule, so one day we might have 3 dump truck loads and then, so
Well,
it's all
right
kind
now.
of working out. I mean,
Well, good.
so we just kind of, we hit and miss in between everything. With the grass not growing, it was pretty easy to keep up, but now that the grass is flying, it's gonna be hard for
Yeah.
2 guys to keep up. But
Well, it's
we'll
not near as
paint
bad as it was anyway.
No, nothing like it was before.
Yeah, really,
We had
right.
actually become a lawn care service
Yeah.
there for a while, so. But we'll be able to keep it up pretty much, so we just plug at it as we go.
I'm back on the recycling thing you're talking about at the beginning. Do we do the whole city or just parts of the city?
The whole city. Yeah, we go from Choctaw, we go north, we just have a couple customers up north, but we have a couple customers, so we have to go up there.
Yeah.
And same way with 95.
How many customers do you think you are picking up for, do you know? Or?
I really couldn't answer that question. I guess I could do a count, but it's quite a bit. Usually it's, even before it was a half a truck to a truckload every day. So, crunching it into 3 days is gonna be a solid three days of running. So
And you require everything separated, right?
it's supposed to be, but nobody's doing it. I've got a bunch of new rules. I've gotten in trouble 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a handout with a bunch of rules that we actually should be handing out about 4 or 5 bags to each person. Because you have plastic, this kind of plastic has to be here, these cans have to be here, these cans, and then this plastic, and we're not allowed to separate it.
So we take plastic aluminum cans and steel cans, or just aluminum?
Yeah, and whatever's in the
They gotta separate
recycling,
it.
but everything has to be recycling, and it's against the law for us to separate it.
So aluminum and steel has to be separate, and the different kinds of plastic.
And different plastics, yeah, there's only 3 plastics. The cardboard can only be corrugated, it can't be like cereal boxes.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I knew that.
So, yeah,
Okay.
it's a challenge.
And what about paper?
I didn't see anything on there with paper, but like I said, I've just really started reading that new sheet the guy up there at the transfer station gave me. He's really getting on to us, because my guys are up there separating it, and he's like, y'all can't really do that, so.
Well, the guy who used to run it is now the state inspector, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's really giving us a hard
Wow,
time,
Andy.
so.
Yeah, I heard that.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
So the recycling, like before it was Friday, is that different? Is that the county? Does the county do recycling, pick up recycling too? Or does the city
They do
just
their
do it?
own. I think it's a volunteer drop off, and then it's volunteer at the annex drop off, but we actually go around and pick up everybody's recycling in the city that wants that service.
Okay. I don't have a clue because my wife puts the recycling.
Yeah.
I just know before we put it out on Friday and then they leave bags there. Is that you or is that the county? You.
That's us, yeah.
Okay.
And, you're supposed to peel the labels off the cans, wash out the
Yeah.
cans, put them in one bag, and then throw your labels away. You're supposed to rinse the milk jugs are supposed to be clean. Everything's supposed to be clean, but it's gotten to where it's,
Yeah, I got that part. I didn't understand. Wasn't sure if the county was doing some, if we were doing some, or we're just doing all the city, and the county didn't come through there anymore.
that's the city, and your route's tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. I got the deal in the mail. I just was confused on exactly whether I was supposed to, I didn't know if I was supposed to call the city and tell them I wanted the city to pick up my recycling, because as far as I knew, it was the county picking it up. I had no clue that the
It's
city
all
picked
city,
it up.
yeah. Anything inside the city limits is the city, that's
Okay.
us.
I think the only thing the county picks up is cardboard, right?
Yeah, various restaurants and stuff, and then they have a volunteer. So I mean, if you live in the county and you can volunteer up at the annex, you can bring it in and sort it out there, and then you can bring it up to the transfer station and sort it out there.
Well, I didn't know that there was bags. Y'all furnish bags?
Yep, for
When they pick
anybody
it up,
that
they
they
leave
You went from how many bags to 5? Or
We've just been giving
He may be
two. We've just
using
been
5,
giving out 2
but if-
bags.
If Sammy's just done in 2 things, you know just leave 2?
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Well, I'm not doing anything, cause I didn't know y'all went that far out. They pick up my stuff at my
At your
cardboard,
shop,
at the
yes, sir.
shop, but, I didn't know
yeah, if you're in city limits, we can come out.
and I'm asking for my own benefit, but also, it's gonna be on Facebook, and
Yeah.
more people that don't know about the recycling program, maybe they'll get to use it, because I'm trying to get more into doing it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and like I said, there's a lot of new rules. I'm fixing he's got the sheet on there and he's got the dates where, I mean, this guy's phenomenal. He went through and had the list of what we can and can't take, had our new dates and what areas we pick up on the days. I mean, he's done a really good job. I've just gotta get some copies and I'm gonna start passing them out.
How many days are you down to?
3 days. We went from 5 to 3. I've cut it
And
back
the
to
3 days are what?
Monday is School Hill and everything kind of downtown.
Gotcha.
Tuesday is Honey Hills, North, 90,
Yeah.
and then Wednesday is south of Little Red River
Is
Bridge.
there a super light day or is it all pretty consistent?
It's all gonna be pretty consistent with, before it
Full
was,
load?
yeah, it was scattered out before,
Yeah, that's
and-
good.
but it was scattered out full loads, but I just combined them to where, and it actually shortened the time up because instead of driving over to Honey Hills and picking it up and then having to drive all the way to Choctaw and pick it up and then come back, it ended up actually being about the same amount once I combined them and moved them around.
Gotcha.
So today went pretty good. We'll see what, I mean, we'll just have to run it for a week or 2 and see how it works, but I think it's gonna work better with them being combined because you're just gonna be in one area.
Yeah,
And then you're
it's
done.
way better,
Yeah.
way better,
Oh, yeah.
especially with gas the way it is.
So, when you go out there, you know, my wife's gonna do the recycling deal, but Tuesday's also our trash day.
Okay.
So it's
Well,
both gonna be
that's-
out there at the same time. Don't be saying I didn't separate anything. My trash is just
You
trash.
better be on your A game.
He's gonna have to be on his A. No, you'll be able to.
Yeah,
I
orange
just-
bags or something?
The other clear
They're clear white bags. Yeah.
clear white bags so we can actually see.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
And this is a free service the city provides.
Yes, sir. Until it gets too big. If it gets too big, then we'll have
Yeah,
to
it's
add
about-
some more money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit of a hassle to separate everything, but if you think about the money you could save versus paying, you know, you're gonna have a lot less trash. You
Yes.
probably still have trash pickup, but,
It's tons of hassle. It's actually against the law for us to separate, so we're gonna.
no, I mean, for the individual to separate it at our house. And it's a little hassle
Yeah.
for us, but it's still, you could.
Well, if you
potentially save
collapse
money.
it too, it's a lot better, you know, I
Yeah.
don't think there's enough rules in place, I don't know, you're right, but
I
it's,
mean, it's kind of gotten a little bit out of hand because, I mean, it's nothing unusual to see baby diapers and everything else in there, so, yeah, it's.
and you can't handle that allegedly.
No, we can't.
I got you.
We can't pick that stuff. I mean, there'll be banana peelings, it's recycling, so everybody's throwing their banana
Yeah.
peelings and all this, and there was the wrong kind of recycling.
Right.
Yeah, you could be compost pile for that.
Everything's gotta be clean stuff, so.
Hope they're not a dump.
But we're good at, I'll get that slip ordered or handed out probably pretty quick here. I'll get some more copies made and
What
get it
about-
handed out, what they do. And it even tells what they take at the transfer station and what's allowed to dump there. I mean, it's 4 tires a month, there's free, and, I mean, and then everybody in the city should know what they can do.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I've got 2 used tires out here, or I got 6, well, I can take 4
See, I
this
didn't know you
month
could
and
take
2
tires. I
next
didn't
month.
know that, yeah.
Where can we get that paper at City Hall?
I've got it, it's in the truck.
You know,
I can give you a
somebody
copy
wants-
of, I've got 2 or 3 copies, I can give you a piece, but I'm fixing to hang them out with the recycling bags.
Right.
Once
That's
we
what I'm
get this
saying.
new route going.
Everybody needs one. Everybody needs a new sheet.
And it explains what you can and can't do, what we can take, what we can't take, and it'll make it so much smoother for everybody else.
Right.
I
That's a good
bet
idea.
Warren will put that on his page for you.
You betcha.
Yeah, I'll give him a copy. if he
Warren
wants.
looks busy, he's got a lot going on.
But like I said, that guy done an excellent job of writing it up and doing it for us. He, like I said, he put my route in there with it, so.
Yeah.
City does theirs this day and,
Well, it's great if everybody cleans it and crushes it and gets it in there and encourage that. It's kind of like brush
Yeah.
pickup. It's
Oh,
great
yeah.
if it's,
Yeah.
well, and it'll just make it that much faster. I mean, the route might be 4 hours of picking up trash, then we might be 2 hours up there trying to separate it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, just stress how important it is on all that, just, and hopefully people do. Other thing I had on streets was, we're putting in a street light up there at the intersection of Sky Hill, I think, and
Yeah, they kinda-
Pettigene's moving a pole down closer to the road. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, are kind of people like me that can't see about to drive off in the ditch, so I think that's gonna cost the city $450 if it's under street.
paid that today out of street repair.
But it's, they were
It'll
grateful
be
for
better.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really necessary. I appreciate your work on that. And tree, you didn't mention the state, Mark cutting the tree down. Oh, and thanks for fixing the light at Walmart at night. You can go up there and not sit there for 4 days and have to run it. And the clock downtown. Thank you.
The clock got fixed? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Charles fixed it. Yeah. Hey, but it's, the side that faces, City Hall is 30 seconds slower than the other side. No big deal.
That's the slack in the gear. That thing, how old is that?
Can't walk from one side to the other.
I can't believe I got it to work.
Final thing, anything else for Charles? Final thing I had today, you and Jay, and I went up there and looked at the Rogers and Barosia, I think it was,
Yes.
street. People are cutting through there, going really, really, really fast. So Jay has talked to the lady a couple of times, and might just mention that. Everybody slow down and don't cut through when school starts, because
Yeah.
there'd be a price to pay for that. It's residential, a lot of kids on there, and the mom was really upset. So I appreciate y'all working on that, and also, which brings us, speaking of, anything else on street department? Brings us into the police department report, and happy birthday, chief. Thanks for coming in.
I'm glad I turned 25 and my insurance went down finally. So we're pretty excited about that. Extra couple dollars in the bank.
Yeah.
Outside of my report, I just got a couple of quick things I want to touch on. Just like the mayor said, we have been getting some complaints today with it being the start of the school year about people driving too fast up on School Hill, the River Road. And I guess people are cutting for some reason off the River Road to Barosia and up Rogers. So tomorrow morning starting, we're gonna have some officers first thing in the morning working school traffic. Not on the school property, but just the roads around it, just kind of let people know, hey, slow down, there's kids going, we're back at this. And we're also gonna start doing a little more prioritizing of all the bus routes through Clinton. One of the big complaints we got towards the end of the year was people passing the stop school bus. So we're gonna work on that quite a bit, first couple months of the school year. Also, we've been having some opportunistic thievery. If you're gonna leave something valuable in your car, people, just lock your door, okay? Because people will be walking around doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. They open a car door, they see a gun, they steal it. We've had 2 of those in the last month. And those are really, really, really hard to solve. A couple good things that have happened. I don't know if you guys have heard. Had some damage done to the fairgrounds, quite a bit of it. With help from the school district police department and our detective, we've got that solved. I can't really talk about it because it involves some other stuff. But I think
Vandalism?
it was vandal, yeah. And I mean, I'm not a construction guy, but I figured replace all the glass every bit to $10,000. Happened on a Saturday night. We had it solved Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning. And the same thing happened at the school with the rock gym. Same group of people. And then I guess the Methodist thrift shop people have been taking stuff from their donation bin. That's not free to everybody. Okay, they collect those donations to try to help other people. So please don't go by at 9 o'clock at night and go pilfering around, because we're gonna catch you and you're probably gonna get charged. So other than that, if you guys have any questions.
No, thanks. I was gonna give an update on our police department remodel, the building. I wanna bring this up.
I thought that was later in the agenda.
Yeah, it is. Okay, we couldn't do that. I didn't know if you wanted to get out of here.
No, I'm good, boss.
Okay, all right.
I just thought it was interesting that accidents, 4 on highways and 5 in parking lots.
Well, normally I don't split those up. This is the first time I did that. I'm actually pretty proud of that. Normally it's the other way around, and normally it's by a large number. So
Right.
So actually, our on-highway accidents have gone down quite a bit. We've also done a little bit more direct traffic enforcement since we had that fatality over here on 16. One of my goals I told my guys was, man, I don't want to have another fatal accident in 2022. We missed it. We've had one, unfortunately. So I told my guys, let's not have another one. So you're gonna see our guys up there with the blue lights on a little bit more. Not necessarily writing tickets. About half the time we're writing warnings to say, hey, slow down. Look, we don't want to have an accident. So that's why I put that in there.
I think it's great. I thought it was funny.
I was actually pretty proud of that.
Anything else for the chief? Okay, thank you, Jay. Brings us down to Water and Sewer Department, Fort Will Hinchy.
All right, per thousand, our chemical treatment cost, it was at 15 cents. That's up from 10 cents last month, but if you, on our report here looking, this time last year, we were right at 15 cents too. We gotta buy extra, it's the magnesium in the water right now. It takes a little bit more to get it out, so something we have to deal with every summer when it gets hot. Clinton water loss overall was 21%, 27% at Burnt Ridge, and 12% at Denard. Still going down just a little bit each month. Guys been working hard. We've been really fixing a lot of leaks since the dry weather and ground moving and cracking, but fortunately, some of those leaks we found because of the dry weather, you can see have actually brought the water loss from 28% down to 21%. So not all of those were just mainline breaks. Some of those were ones that we didn't find until it got dry, and it enables us to see it. So that is a good thing. We on the pole yard project, as far as construction goes, is completely done. There was a little bit of a hiccup on the control valves that were ordered. The spring on the control valves were not ordered correctly. A guy come from the manufacturer company from Mueller from Dallas, Texas, about 2 weeks ago to calibrate those, get them to operate them. That's part of the bid and everything. He got down here and those springs were only set to fill a water tank at 21 feet. Well, we don't have any water tanks that go up to 21 feet. They all are 61 feet and more. So they were wrong springs. No big deal. Manufacturer said no extra cost to us. He will be here Thursday to install those new springs and actually get those to working and setting those set points. So besides that, the pole yard project is over and done with. Move on to something else, hopefully. In front of you, and I'm sorry I didn't email this ahead of time, it's something that we needed to go over anyway. You've asked in the past that we give quarterly updates. Yes, I'm a little behind on it, but I don't know which one I handed out first, but I've got the one that shows the difference between 2021 and 2022 on the different quarters. But if you go down to the bottom of that page on the difference between January to June, that's covering both quarters there, you'll see that our revenue from 2021 to 22 on the sewer side has went up about $7,500, but you'll look at the usage between those 2 years, we've actually went down on our customer usage on the sewer about 265,000 gallons. And you'll see it's kind of trending the same on the water side too. On the water revenue, we're 46,000 in the good, but we were 5.7 million less usage on that. So the rate increase is still coming in there. We're $46,000 in the good, but you know, customers they've seen that, they know the cost, and they are using less water, and it trends that on water and sewer. So if there's any other questions on that other page, we've actually got it broke down since the rate increase come in effect. You can see that, and I can also give it out to the public if anybody's interested. We could probably post this on our water Facebook page too. It probably needs to be done that way. You know, we're out in the open, see what we're doing here. But the next page breaks it down from when we first started in 2019 to now, so you can look at that. Any questions on that before we move on to?
On the water usage, that doesn't include the water loss, right?
No, it is not. That's actually, produced, and that's actually sold. So
Okay.
this is actually just sold water. Yep.
Okay.
It don't take into consideration that water loss.
Okay.
But our water loss has went down and it's,
Oh, it's down. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember
Oh,
you-
yeah.
I used
I
to
mean,
remember
yeah, but I mean,
40%, 50% sometimes.
we like to look at some positive
Yeah.
things. Yeah, I mean, we're at 21% overall. That's all considered, it's one system, but it's all three systems together. And Burnt Ridge, you know, I've discussed about us, shutting that tank off and us just running those pumps on a VFD. And we've not had the whole Burnt Ridge system out of water since we've been doing that. If we had a big break and we had it running off the tank, we would have several customers out of water. And now that pump will actually just increase on its hertz, and we might have a 2-inch line broke completely in two, but we usually don't have any customers call out of water. We just check that thing every day, and when the hertz are running at 60, we know we're keeping up with everybody, but we've got a leak somewhere, so we're able to keep up with it and check it more often. Know right away when there's
Are we
something up.
pumping now, straight to Big Ranch, like we are on the million-gallon tank?
No, right now we're actually operating that pole yard pump station. Yeah, we switch it about once a week. We're still having to manually flush that parish tank. And in doing that, we are switching it over to keep that 10 miles of line on that 16-inch line fresh. But we have ran a lot, and I will say, anytime we have B branch uses extra water or whatever, we'll make that switch automatically over, and we'll just fill that tank there at Pole Yard for the B branch and Buren County customers, and we'll fill the 1 million gallons straight away. One reason we haven't completely switched it over yet is it wasn't part of the bid on the Pole Yard, but we have to have a coring residual station that takes it from that pump station at the water plant and puts it inside. I mean, and that's not automated. We're having to go out and check that several times. Because it's a little bit more work right now to do that. But we do have the money set back for that, and we're going to do that in-house. So.
Pretty solid on your money from 2019 to 2022. Half a year is 200,000 difference. I'm reading that right. So.
Yes.
Hey, refresh me on it's been so long since we did it, but on the Pole Yard project, we went from a pump station to a gravity flow to B branch, right?
We have the option. Now, to B branch, we were always gravity. So we pumped it one time from the water plant to that Pole Yard station. We had twin tanks there. And then it was, so we're always still going to be that same way. But we also have the option at Pole Yard to gravity feed back. If there's something going on at the water plant or whatever, instead of feeding that there, we can gravity feed back out of the 1 million gallon also. There's that control valve that's there at Pole Yard. We're open and closed to fill those tanks from the 1 million gallon tank. So we have two ways of feeding, not just the customers in the city. We also have two ways of feeding B branch also.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But we don't have to use the pump at Pole Yard, right?
No.
Okay.
We're currently doing it now. We'll have the option to doing that, but we installed a valve and we'll run the pumps that we're running now at the water treatment plant. We'll run to Pole Yard tanks. And then before we were running from Pole Yard tanks, pumping it to 1 million gallons. So we were pumping it twice just to get it to town.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna be able to, turn on the pumps that used to go to the chicken plant, and we're gonna just run that to feed 1 million gallons. We'll have two options.
That's more
If that
efficient.
goes down, we can still operate it through the Pole Yard pump station. also.
Yeah, I like having the options.
Oh yeah, I mean, we've seen it. We've had to do it both ways. Right now, if we have a mainline break and we're having trouble keeping up with it, those two pumps that used to feed the chicken plant, that feeds Parish,
Yeah.
we'll switch that over and we'll fill the 1 million gallon up with it because it keeps up faster. Those are bigger pumps and they're
Yeah.
more efficient.
That's awesome. Sounds good.
We go down Wednesday and talk with Dan, we mentioned that about DL and talk to ADQ.
Yeah, we're going down, we've got a sit-down meeting with ADEQ on Wednesday. We're gonna cover several things. We're gonna talk about our spray fields and, getting permitted for the fields here. We're going to sit down about our cadmium issue and come up with a plan on it. We've submitted a sampling plan to try to prove that we really don't have the cadmium issue we thought we did. And then there's also the cap at the water treatment plant, so we're gonna sit down and talk about those three items. They've only allotted us an hour, and that seems like a short time, but.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, 2:30.
I know, but I've tried to have Zoom meetings with them, and they won't even pay for the Zoom. They do the free deal, so the free deal is only like 30 minutes, so,
We'll talk tomorrow about who all should go. Like I said, you could get too many people in the room.
yeah.
Like you said, the other thing, and we talked about the animal shelter pressure, you found a way to, you know, our option right now is an 1.5 inch, which we really don't need. We'd spend.
It'd be a little overkill. It's
Overkill,
available.
but it's
in
available.
stock. It's a little bit more pricey, but when I say that, it's $2,500, you know. I mean, that's quite a bit of money, but it's
It's an 1.5 inch,
probably gonna be
the
a
other would be
bigger.
3/4.
And the
How
other
much-
one we priced is a 3/4.
How much would we need pressure-wise on a hose? You know, you have to get a,
So the quote that they give me from Benson Pump, they just sent me if I've got this level and then on the height, it told me it would boost it up. It's gonna boost it about the same. They're saying they're gonna boost it up about 75 PSI, so whatever we got coming in that 3/4 one's gonna do the same thing for less
Okay.
money.
it's the same difference.
Same, yeah, less, I mean, so
The-
we
the
checked, we
problem
got
is we
40 to 45 PSI is what we've got at that location. So they're saying we could get it from like 110 to 125 PSI inside, and if you can't wash it down with 125 PSI, you're not gonna wash it down, so I think I think either one of those is gonna get us up to where we need to be.
Good, thanks. Anything else?
I got one more question. Last month you were mentioning the training for the.
Yes.
Hot springs.
How many people, I mean, where are we at on that? I mean, do you need more people? or
I haven't
enough
had
people?
anybody contact me about going.
When's the deadline for contacting you to go to that?
If you can call me the day before and come see me. I'll
Okay.
hang around up there or down there Wednesday and wait on you, so.
But you said something about, like, council members, it's been, like, Sam's been on here more than 10 years.
10 years. So if you've been on the council for 10 years or more, you're exempt from that training. They're considered that you've got your in-house training.
Does that start at a certain date, or does that like for Jason, if January is his 10-year mark, if he waits till after January, would it still count for it?
Yeah, because right now they're giving us a year, and they're kind of extending that on that first year because they're fixing to have the very first class, next month.
Say that again, it's everybody, every city council member that owns the water department?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
How many members do you have to have?
You've got to have 60%.
Of the total of the
Of the
council and the
total of the
water
council.
board, or just the council?
Both. They look at them as separate entities.
So 60%
Yeah,
of the council?
that's what I thought. I thought, well, if I send all the water board, will they count towards the 60%? And they said it's different.
So Sammy counts as one already since he's got 10 years?
Yes.
So you need.
At first, they said it didn't count. You had to have 60% of the people that hadn't been there 10 years, and I was like, that don't make any sense. But I did talk to municipal, and it's kind of vague the way it's wrote up, and our director at Arkansas Rural Water has asked more details with ANRC, and ANRC has responded back that yes, Sammy will count towards that 60%.
So after
And that's
January-
60% in the first year. They want everybody to
So
have it.
after, they want everybody, they want 100%. So after the first year, you're gonna have to go up to 100%, so you might as well,
Yeah.
everybody get
Well,
on.
once everybody goes, how long is it good? Forever, or we gotta go back?
Until, say, we change the council member, one steps out, but then you got that one that needs to go. And so, yeah, it's a one-time training. As of right now, they haven't come back and said, you gotta go back every 5 years or anything like that. Right now, it's just board training.
Well, none of us have an opponent, so we should be able to, some of us go. I'll go. I mean,
You do foresee.
And like I said,
An
this is
online
the
class.
first, yeah, I do foresee, and they are talking about online, and I do know Arkansas Rural Water is gonna produce that also. They haven't come out with that yet, but they will. Arkansas Rural Water in Arkansas joined forces with a group out of, with California Rural Water. And California Rural Water bought out a course making company. So they actually took online courses, and that's what this company did, and California Rural Water bought them out. And in doing that, they were gonna come up with water standards, training classes that would be accepted by the health department and ADQ as training hours. So Arkansas Rural Water decided to join forces with them. They took it to National Rural Water and it got turned down. So Arkansas Rural Water, we voted to go ahead and join forces with California. So we have our foot in the door and we're both gonna do those trainings. So they're producing these classes and stuff now. But yeah, there will be, but there's not any out there yet.
So, anything else for Will?
Oh, so what's the timeline on the new line for the Mexican restaurant?
So right now I have them temporary water, and I met with them again today. They have changed their mind several times. And I think I have made a suggestion. We actually had a bad water leak on the line that goes to Best Western last night. And in doing that, we have shown that we do not want to bore that hill, which is the most recent suggestion that they have. They're still willing to pay for it, but they wanted to bore the hill from the parking lot up to the 4-inch going to Best Western. And I told him after seeing what that damage does with a leak up there washing that slate bank, I just didn't think that was a good recommendation. He's seen it himself. It's probably a blessing. We have met. There is a slope that we are able to get a piece of machinery on, and maybe potentially we're going to go tomorrow and take my lead operator, see what he suggests. But I think we can just come off that hill on his property at the gradual slope and install a line. It'll be a welded pipeline. It won't be like a pushed together, knocked together pipeline. Will cost us a little bit more, but he's gonna pay for that expense. It will be a 4-inch. I know at one point the city council had voted that if we did a line extension in city limits, it need to be 4-inch or more. So it will reach that. We've not ran into that since I've been here as a manager, but I do know in the past we've said that some businesses and stuff, if they did an extension, it'd be 4-inch or more, and it does improve fire protection stuff. So we're looking at a 4-inch extension and coming off the hill there and a fire hydrant.
So so in the minutes, it said something about a 6-inch line.
Well, we were gonna tie onto a 6-inch line and come around. Now we'll be tying onto a 4-inch.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Still gonna put the fire hydrant.
Still gonna have a fire hydrant. It will not go out in front of the property. We did have that surveyed. Pretty much, there's no property that is not owned by the,
Highway.
it's all highway.
Gotcha.
That highway property line is about 5 foot of that front door of that Mexican restaurant. So I did tell them that we could go, I could get a permit from the highway department. The way that the highway department, and Mark can correct me if I'm wrong, but in my experience is the highway department would have given me that right away, but they would have asked me to be 5 foot from that highway right away line inward on theirs. So I could have 5 foot pretty much gonna be all there was. And in doing that, I was only gonna be 10 foot from that front door.
Right.
So really that wasn't the best way to go, and Miles and I both agreed on that, so we started looking other ways. But right now, we are not slowing them up on opening. They have a permanent meter, they have permanent setters. Nothing that's gonna change, just the way I feed those setters is gonna change whenever we run that line.
Where will the fire hydrant be?
Right now, it's gonna look like it's gonna be in the edge of their property. We're gonna try to stay within 5 feet of their highway right-of-way line. So if you bend over there, you see the new poles that have been set. And so it'll be coming in between the Best Western and Miles's property right there and it'd be right there in the outside edge of that parking lot. You know, keep it from being ran over or something, so. But still should be able to service, it should be able to service just right there next to 65B. It's gonna be right there in that intersection.
That'll add to Jay's parking lot there.
Okay, anything else for Will?
So, back a little bit, on the animal shelter pump. It's a pump that's stationary, I guess, in the building. And there's an 1.5-inch pump and a 3/4 pump.
So far, that's what we've, now Benson Pump said they could order us whatever, but whenever, but they actually have one they cut us a little bit of deal on, and that's that 1.5 inch pump they had in stock. Someone ordered it, never purchased it, so they got it. So they're really trying to get rid of it, so
But it's $2,500 and the other one's $900 or something.
$950 something is what the other one is, yeah.
And they're not gonna pump any more than,
It doesn't look like they're gonna put out as far as pressure to increase it anymore, because we don't have the inlet pressure to raise it.
so what's the advantage of one from another?
Time.
Right now, timeline, that's the only thing I can say is timeline. If we were willing to come up with something else and wait for that 6 to 8 weeks of delivery time, then, you know, expense-wise,
Well,
I think it's your better expense. But
in my opinion, you can buy a $600 pressure washer for 6 months or something. I mean, I don't know. That's still cheaper than $2,500 with both. I mean, if they're not gonna do much difference in
I
the
think the
two.
whole point of the pump is just to have,
Well, yeah, I'm saying, it'd still get the pump, but if it's 6, 8 weeks out,
What Sean's saying, instead of just ordering the more expensive one, just because you don't wanna wait on the other one, you make do while you wait and get the one, if it's gonna be the same amount of pressure, you might as well get the cheaper one.
I mean, you don't have the bring it up to 1.5 inches and then drop it back down to a 3/4 or something to plug it into the water hose. I don't know. I mean,
we have, as far as the plumbing goes on, I've looked at both. We actually have a 2-inch inlet coming in. So really, it's whatever fits, we can make fit. As far as the pipe fitting goes, neither one of them's not an option.
I guess I'm not thinking, I'm just thinking 6 years down the road, it's gonna quit and you're gonna have to buy something else. Well, you buy even an electric pressure washer that's there. gonna do the
One
same
thing on that 1.5 inch one that
process.
they've not been able to answer to me, the response was, I'll check to see which one it is. They make a 120 and they also make a 3-phase in that option. And he
Probably a
couldn't tell me
3-phase.
which one he
I
had.
don't know.
If it was 3-phase, it might be a little bit of
Is there
That's
3
an
phase in the
issue.
building, I'm guessing? No.
there wouldn't be, no. And the other one is, it's a 120, 110 hook.
Almost like a grinder pump or
3/4,
something?
yeah.
Now, is that
It's a
another
little, I mean, it almost looks, it's a little electric motor here, and it's got a shaft, and it's got moving parts on the inside that just, as that water flows through there, it increases that pressure. You put a check valve on the back side of it, and that keeps the pressure going forward one direction, so.
Now, is that just like that'll only be kicked on when they're washing kennels out?
Yes, we looked at that, we're gonna bring in a different service into that way we don't increase the pressure of that old plumbing and the rest of that bathroom and stuff area.
That's
I was gonna say, 'cause that might throw you
That way
towards
you
it
don't
pretty
have-
quick.
Yeah, we don't, the way we've looked at hooking it up, the mayor and I, it's gonna be just for wash down area only.
I mean, we use 50-foot hose, 75 at the most, and
Yeah, we'd be able to put one, hose bib on each room and be able to pressure up both rooms, we're hoping. Cause very seldom you're probably gonna be washing out both rooms at the same time. You know, you have 1 or 2 volunteers that both be in the same area, so.
okay, anything else for Will? That brings us to zoning department, Tim Clark.
I think we've pretty much covered the Mexican restaurant. I'm gonna stick with my original prediction that they will open at the end of June. I'm gonna be
What
sit-
year?
I was looking to see if that said June.
It really doesn't matter as long as it's the end.
Yeah.
I mean, not this year.
Wendy's and the Mexican restaurant will be the same time.
Okay, I'm gonna send out everybody an email on this, so you'll have the dates and the time to do it. I'll text you with it. They're wanting to have a meeting, on these, floodplain maps. They're due to send their final study results in October, so they wanna meet with us again like they did before, to show us what they've come up with before they send it. First time they came, it helped them out a great deal with people, you know, DL and Sam and different people. You know, these guys are just engineers sitting at a computer somewhere looking at models. And so it did them a lot of good to come up here and have different people that were here say, no, that really didn't flood right there, even though that, you know, your model's showing that didn't happen. And so they went back and did some more studies. And this will be the Arkansas Natural Resources Division, FEMA, and the FTN and Associates. And they're gonna be here Tuesday, September the 13th from 2 to 3:30 to go over everything with us. It's not, I'm not gonna call it the final study, it's a continuing study before they submit their final in October, but this will be the last chance for us. And I think it's going to be very favorable to us, but this will be our last chance to go, no, that ain't right, we don't like that. Which it doesn't matter whether we like it or not, but if we see something that is just totally inaccurate, then they can take another look at it. But this will be the last opportunity for us to do that before they send, their study to FEMA for final approval. So that'll be Tuesday, September the 13th from 2 to 3:30, and I'll send out everybody an email on that with that date and time. And so anybody that you think that would affect in the community, that would like to be here and ask questions, look over it, please tell them to be here that day if they can, and put their input into it, because it affects business owners, lots of people in this town. So I'd like to get as many people here as we possibly can.
What was the time on that, you said?
2 to 3:30. Lee said he would stay later than that for questions. It's not like he's gonna just leave, but he'd stay later to meet with individuals if you had questions and he didn't want to say anything during the
Pretty
meeting.
accommodating, he'd stay.
Yeah, he'd stay a long time if we wanted him to. So he's a good guy, and he'll help us out. The Clinton Storage Solutions, the big storage units between the Donut Palace and Simmons Bank, their climate control storage units. On the other side of Tester Street behind the Donut Palace, they've started clearing that out. They bought property there. They've been pushing the trees down, getting that cleared off. They're gonna add more storage units on that side. I haven't seen the plans yet. They're gonna send them to me. Normally I don't say anything until I get a set of plans and they actually purchase a permit, then it's real. But these guys have already started developing, so I feel pretty confident that's gonna happen. There's 3, 4, 5 more different construction projects going on in the city right now. A couple of new homes in addition, metal storage buildings at different places in town. The last thing is this property right down here on 16, the white building that belonged to David Holcomb, the place beside that, which was Emerson's, and I think it was an old church, and then the place there right by the river with the rock building on it was purchased by a group. It's CCC Properties out of Jonesboro. And one of them, they're 3 brothers, one of them contacted me to ask me, if it would be okay if he came in there with a skid steer and started cleaning everything up. And I said, well, absolutely not. We're not gonna have that. But no, I told him, yeah, just whenever you wanted to start. And what he told me was the white building's gonna go, the old church is gonna go. The only thing they're gonna keep on the property is that rock building right there by the river. And
Is that Ty Teresa's old building?
yeah, it is. And what they're gonna do with that property is uncertain. He threw out a couple of options, but I'm not gonna throw those out because you never know what it's gonna be. But they're gonna, everything that you see there is gonna be gone. So that's all I got. If anybody's got any questions.
You mentioned the mini storage place out there. Is this one out here done? I know they've built a couple extra buildings. Have they done all their permits, or
Are they what?
are they done with all their building? I know they've added a couple buildings over here.
As far as I know.
The Hales Mini Storage, I know they've added a couple new buildings.
Yeah,
Have they?
they came by and pulled a permit to add some more storage units down there about, I want to say a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But is that all they're gonna do, or are they gonna do some more?
I don't know. They didn't say they were.
But they're also running out of room
Yeah.
if somebody else has bought all that other property. So
Yeah.
they're running out of room to
Yeah.
do anything else.
They can't go up.
No.
Okay, thanks. Anything else for Tim Clark? Thank you. Well, brings us down to unfinished business, police remodel update, and we'll talk about that. Had a couple of bids in for the old Democrat building over at City Hall for the remodel on that. They came in around comparable to each other, probably 120 apiece, the average, which I thought that's probably about where it was. I was approached by, talked to Chad Brown and also County Judge Dale James, and talked to Jay Murdoch. I think Jeff and Sammy's went through there. The county owns the old bank, which is, we remember as the library from our generation. It's on the very end, but it was the bank originally. And right in the middle of it is a safe. And one of the things we'd have to do with the old Democrat, Buren County Democrat building was Williams and build an evidence room. Took the chief over and looked at it, walked through with Chad and the judge, and it looks like a pretty good fit if we just swapped them. Advantages for that would be a little bit more square footage, but not enough to really matter. Got 7 parking spots out back that go with it, so your cars wouldn't be on Regions lot maybe, or maybe the cities. Definitely, it's ready, a guy could walk in it with minimal, I say minimal. Gotta look at the roof. It was supposed to be looked at today, it wasn't. Also, it'll take a new heat and air unit, and that'll be Bates, which we're renting from probably right behind us, which makes sense. I would say maybe some windows, flooring, get rid of the old carpet, get rid of the mothball smell, maybe new ceiling tile. It looks pretty right, but ceiling tiles and carpet hold more smell than anything. Other than that, it's a pretty clean fit. I'll let the chief talk about. At first I thought, hey, we put all our time in this, but maybe a good thing. I'll let Jay and Chad talk about it and then open it up for questions. I would suggest we entertain that, and maybe at the next meeting, try to get a swap going for that building. But I'll let you talk, Jay, whatever you think about it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously, you know, I'd like to have like a 40,000 square foot purpose-built building, you know, that comes in at, I don't know, $300,000 like a fire truck or whatever. But also know budgets are what budgets are. And I really think that this would probably be the cheapest and easiest way for the city to get into something pretty quick. Like the mayor said, yeah, probably coat of paint, new ceiling tiles, maybe a little flooring. I know the air conditioner, the HVAC system needs some work.
Bathroom, I didn't mention that. Add a little bit of plumbing in the back.
Yeah. Bathroom's kind of tight. You can use the restroom and wash your hands at the same time. It's small. So we probably have to do a little bit with that. Plus sides, more parking for our patrol cars. Parking right there, it's right on the court square, which is something I always like because if I need to go to the prosecutor, go to court, whatever, it's just right across the street. Safe is huge. It's probably twice the size of what we've got now. So securing evidence will not be an issue. And in a pinch can also be used as a storm shelter, safe room, depending on how we fix it up. So I don't see a whole bunch of downsides. Chad, if you got anything?
Yeah, so it's currently occupied and in use as the prosecutor's office. So, and it's been used as the prosecutor's office for, I don't know, probably 20-something years. Stephen James was the person that owned it at one point and sold it to the county on his way out. So it's currently occupied and being used. That's a bonus. The Democrat building, you know, I mean, it was just kind of getting down to where it wasn't being used for very much at all up until the time when City Hall moved into it. There's a little bit of musical chairs going along the square because the county's looking. What's happening is the county's going to use some of their federal funds to purchase a prosecuting attorney's office, and so rather than spend all the money they had to renovate that prosecutor's office, they're gonna look to purchase something, because they've got enough money, they can buy something that's quite a bit bigger than that. But it's ready to go, it's operating. It is gonna have to have some AC done, because I think it's on its last leg. I think Bates was the one that looked at it recently and said it's.
And when I was in there the other day, it was 100 degrees outside, and it was every bit at almost 90 in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was recommended to be redone last year, but they held off because they're like, well, we don't know what we're gonna do with the building. So I think that's the thing, that's the big thing. But it's already framed. I think it probably is gonna, at least, it may not be exactly what you would have designed it, but it's probably something that you could move in and start operating out of if you needed to right away.
Yeah, every bit up.
Yeah, and that versus the Democrat building, which is, if you've been in it, it's kind of more like a warehouse design. For the county, that's gonna kind of meet what they're thinking about doing with it. It's gonna meet their needs kind of pretty well, having something that's already kind of a blank slate to kind of work with. So it seems like it's something that might work out just doing a swap. And I think the county judge is interested in doing it. I won't speak for him, but he seemed to be amenable to it, so.
Other positives for this building, the facade, the front's a little more stable. Have to have it, I just encourage all of you to walk through it and look at it. When I first heard it, I'm like, I don't know. But, I took the chief over there and he's like, yeah, his office would be attached to the evidence room. I think we have 17,500. We'd set aside 50,000 for the police purchase and extra for remodel, and then 2,500 for something else. Can't remember what it was, but I think there's that much money already there. Also, we're renting from Bates. I talked to him about it, and I didn't know what the timeline was, and he basically said, we're good as long as y'all need to be there, which took a little pressure off of us. I know you're anxious to get moved, but.
Yeah, that's one thing to bring up. The county's about a year out from occupying a new building. Just, again, like I said, it's a musical chair, we gotta wait for everyone to move around and everything. So the county's probably about a year out from being able to occupy, so police will be about a year out, to take in. But the reality is looking at the way remodels are going right now, if you started remodels today, you might be a year out, just from what I've seen from the way other projects are going.
It looked like to me we save a lot of money by trading buildings. That's a nice building there, a lot nicer than what we were gonna get. And that's the way I looked at it.
I'll tell you, because I saw this firsthand, when all the county has a lot of federal money. That's just, ARPA funds are huge for the county. And so that was what, they had secured $150,000 to renovate that prosecutor's office. And real quickly it found out that $150,000 wasn't even gonna get it there, probably needed $200,000. And then there's like, well, you're still 6 months out from getting any materials or anything. We had to go through an architect, spend $8,000 on an architect. I mean, it just became a money pit really quickly. Yeah. And that's why, from the county's perspective, it's like, oh my gosh, this is, they can go out and buy something, they go out and procure something that's already ready to move in for what it costs to build something, just because, construction costs are so high right now.
Yeah.
Probably because the federal government's pumping a whole bunch of money through these local governments, and it's raising the prices of everything.
Yeah.
So building right now is really hard. So,
Will it work for you?
Short answer, yes. I mean, again, perfect world, it wouldn't pen to paper, yeah. But if it saves the city, I don't know, $75,000 on a $110,000 bid to put whatever in just to make it pretty for us, yeah, it'd work great.
I think parking's a big deal. I mean, that was pretty.
For me, parking was a big deal. Part of the reason that the remodel, I think, for the county was gonna be is I think they were gonna take that safe out because they needed more room. So what's a negative for them is a massive positive for me. So, like we had talked about, I think, I don't know when they did the bid on what building a safe for us was gonna be. I mean, just right off the top, the only thing we'd have to do is put a couple security doors in and some cameras and call it good.
Put a door on it.
Yeah.
That'll save us a lot of money right there.
Yeah, just right off the top, right there.
Yes.
So, like I said, I just think, I think it's a good option. Just,
I do too.
But we're
and-
about a year out from being able to move in.
Yeah. The county, the building that the county's buying, it's gonna take a year for that building to be ready to be occupied.
Sure.
So,
My question would be, is there a way you could do an exchange, or you just, they gotta be out before, legally, before, you know, okay, we do a swap, a couple of months or a month, then we send somebody up there and say, yeah, go ahead and put a roof on it and an AC, could we do that?
yeah, in fact, that's what I would recommend, is go ahead and doing the swap, and then, and basically just have like a paid up lease for that period of time that the county will have to continue to occupy the building, and you can start planning. I mean, absolutely, if you're doing roof work, you can do roof work while they continue to have their daily operations. That's not gonna be a problem whatsoever, so.
We don't need any action, I don't think, just permission to go ahead and pursue that, maybe bring it in the next meeting, or, you know, next, so.
Yeah, when there's actually something that the council needs to vote on, it's gonna be a resolution to authorize the execution of deeds, is what it would
I'd
be.
say go look at it between now, I mean, see what you think. I think Jeff's seen it, and Sammy's seen it. Certainly Jay, I mean.
So the
Jay's-
county's gonna move into that? They're gonna move into the Democrat building? That's the building they're gonna
No,
use,
I
or?
think they want that for a court, I don't know, ask him.
Well, I mean, I think Judge James is thinking about different things to do with that building, but the
Okay,
reality
that's not
is,
the building
the
they're-
reality is that what's currently the building that they're proposing, that they might swap with you, was just gonna be empty, and they wouldn't have had anything to do with it, and that safe was gonna be a pretty limiting factor on what you do with the building, because you got a big concrete safe in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So for them, it makes sense to swap it, because you have a
Yeah.
big open building you can do anything with. Because the Democrat building is just a blank
Yeah,
slate.
yeah. Okay.
Anyway, I just, whatever y'all think, I think we're to pursue that. It may work out the same way for them, they might could do some work on it, start wrecking it out or whatever between now and then. Big advantage is Bates says, you know, when he said a year out, I'm hoping it's not, but our landlord said, fine, that was kind of concern for me. Then I can get someone to look at, bring you some options of, here's what it's gonna take, you know, AC, little roof work, some windows, bathroom, you know, but,
Couple security doors for sure.
yeah. Anyway, I just kind of want permission to pursue that, that's fine, man.
I hear there's room to
Everybody
park a
good?
fire truck in the back too, so just.
There is. Right next to my truck.
Anything else for, other police, okay. Brings us down to animal control. At this point, I'll ask Dina too, on the best way to do this. I would like to move some, $20,000 from grants and development line item into maybe an animal, shelter line item that may, I don't know if it exists,
Animal control.
animal control, so we could pay our bills. Or, you know, we have some bills at PAX, been pretty limited. I mean, been kept the cost down really well, but also, anyway, I'll entertain a motion in a second to transfer $20,000 from grants and development to animal control.
Make a motion. One second.
Any discussion? On that, I'll call for a vote.
Hastings,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
And the other part of that is, as far as there's still money in that trust fund, and I know you're talking with Eddie, you're going to, and I just didn't know, at one point said, bring me the bills and I'll give them to Eddie. I think Dina would rather us pay the bills and then send a bill.
Well, Chad and I talked about that in the beginning.
Do the receipts, like with a statement, some sort of a statement that we prepare or something like
Correct.
that, and itemize
Yes.
something.
And I would send it to him monthly, and then he could just pay us
Get
that way.
reimbursed or something.
They can
Yeah,
reimburse the
I'm gonna
city.
send it, the plan would be to send it to Eddie to begin with. Eddie's not actually the trustee, he's the trust attorney. I don't know the name of the trustee, but I think he'll get it to where, my hope is that after a couple months,
You can go to
there'll
that.
be a system where it's just kinda, it just happens. So that's what I hope.
I don't think we need any action on that, so. Anything,
The 20,000 would cover that, correct, that you just appropriated, right?
Yeah.
Yes, for
It'd
those
be
bills,
pulled out
yes,
of the
that's what it
I'll
is.
just pick that number.
And then he'll replenish
We
it
run
with
into
that.
something
Correct.
heavy duty, you know, but I think that's a good starting place. Okay. Brings us down to ARPA monies. I'm gonna let Dina talk on this, about, premium, or she'll explain it. I'm just gonna turn it over to her about where we're at on that, how much is available, where she wants the money to go.
Okay, the total amount that the city received was $522,095.73 over the past 2 years, last year and this year. We had to do a report, send in a report, which I talked to Richard before. He said he really didn't know what to do. They only gave us 4 options in the beginning. Now the final rule is over. So I told him I was going to put in that we would do revenue replacement because that's the best and easiest way to do it for the final rule. And because that way you can take the police and fire expenses for their revenue replacement. You can take their salaries and stuff. And then you can put it in the general fund, and then you can use those funds however you choose to do. If you chose to do premium pay and not do it this way, there's a lot of different stuff that you have to do. But if you do all of it through revenue replacement, then you can just put it into the general fund after you use the police and fire salaries, plus all the benefits that come with it.
And what was that total you said at first,
522,095.73. It compounds interest monthly. Right now, we actually have 523,229.49 in there because of the interest.
Okay.
And
Go ahead.
I don't know if you're done, but I'll.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's only revenue from, I mean, you're talking, you can use this for salary replacement. Is there anything else? We don't surely have $500,000.
Well, you
Salary.
can. It don't have to be like all in 1 year. So I was
Oh.
going to take this year, part of it, and then if that's what y'all choose to do, and then next year part of their salaries. You know, which it would, yeah, that would be that much in a couple of years,
In a couple of years.
easily. Mhm.
It doesn't change anything about the police and fire salaries. It's just replacing that through there and putting it back in the general fund so you can use it
For whatever you choose to use it for. Yes.
without having to have a bunch of rules on where you can use it because you put it into a premium.
What would it be if we went to premium?
Well, only certain people can get it, and then it's not based on the, it's based on whatever y'all decide, but only certain people can get it. Then there's like water and sewer, you could've gave it to them. There was only like 4 in the very beginning. Now, revenue replacement, that is your best option, and that's what municipal leagues suggest. Alicia and I have sat on meeting after meeting on this. And that's why I was like, we'll just wait and hold off till we get the final rule, because every month that we had one, they were changing it.
And this ARPA money, just for me to remember, is
American,
COVID money, for lack of a better word. Is it the same, or is there a total other that was
well, the CARES
COVID
Act
money?
is kind of the COVID money,
Yeah.
yes.
This is recovery.
American,
Yeah.
Stimulus,
American,
whatever.
yeah, that's what it
Roundabout
is.
way, yeah.
This is the same.
It's the
Okay.
same thing that Chad's talking about that the county got.
Yeah.
Some people don't call it ARPA, they call it other things, but
I
it's
mean-
American Rescue Plan Act is what it is.
And the county's now following the recommendation
They did the
of
right
municipal league
thing.
and what
That I
Dana's
just
talking
said,
about, which
yeah.
is revenue replacement.
Because that's the easiest way for you to get your money and spend it however you want.
You basically
Because
pay your
otherwise,
due-
there's
yeah.
rules and regulations, like.
You pay your, you pay your payroll through ARPA, and then
Right.
what that does is that then frees up general fund money that you can do on the projects that you want to spend money on
Right, so
without
we could,
procurement issues.
we could do this and then still get, like, I'm still for the police department getting, the sheriff's office got it, Searcy County got it, every police department around here got their bonuses as far as the,
Well, they called it premium pay, I will
Right.
just tell you, because that's what they called it, because that was one of the 4 things that you could do in the very beginning.
right,
We won't call it that, because then we'll have to do it as premium pay instead of revenue replacement. What we can do is call it like a bonus.
Right.
And then if
Christmas
you wanna give
bonus.
it to the whole city, everybody, you can do that.
Right.
It's just not limited to certain people.
Once you get it in your general fund, you can do whatever you want to with it.
Correct,
Templates.
correct.
Sorry.
Yes?
All right, so, I'm sorry.
So my question.
Unlike, the money that
Oh, yes,
the
it's
school
fine.
districts got from the federal government, there is not a certain percentage of this money that has to be spent in a certain way. Like, it's not, there's not like a 80-20 split or a 70-30 split.
That was the CARES Act, right?
What are you talking about now?
This is the
Well,
ARPA
school
money.
districts, when they got their money from the Fed and the CARES Act, so they had to have a certain percentage that was held back for learning loss, like it might have been a.
CARES had to
It
do
might have
that.
been a 30-70 split or something. So this money, all this 522,000, we can work up a plan, and if we did salary replacement, are we
If
just
you
talking
do-
about which salaries are we talking, which department are we talking about? Every department or?
The revenue replacement is only for police and fire, not anyone else, and that would be DL because he's the only full-time fire person. And then all police officers. You can use all their salaries and all their benefits.
We should have replaced DL a long time ago, so I'm all.
It's not
I agree
replacing
totally
you.
with you on that.
It's not replacing you.
But I have a concern, and that's my concern. If you move it to general, like you're saying, then you can spend it however you want to. I had 5 to 7 of my volunteers that got COVID off of one house fire. So if it's salary, they're not gonna get anything out of this. So once it goes to general, now you can do whatever you want to with it. You may turn around and build a $5 million or $500,000 water department. And those people that worked during this and got sick get nothing.
But now this is different than the CARES Act money.
It's
This is not supposed to be the COVID money.
But this is more police and fire.
But it's not supposed to be the COVID money.
Yeah, this is American Rescue.
This is,
COVID.
this is a different deal than the COVID. The CARES Act was the COVID money.
But what we're saying
But it
is,
was general.
Well, no, this has nothing to do with the CARES Act.
No, we already done that one.
but we can turn around and take 300,000 of that and put it towards property that the fire department needs.
Right, because it'd be in the general
We're
fund.
talking about individuals.
I mean,
They want,
just like the water department, the police department, street department, fire department, volunteers on us. They're out there, they was risking their life during this COVID thing and haven't got nothing. And it's very disappointing to hear sheriff's department gets it, all these other departments are getting something out of risking their life out of this. And so far, it's just been, thanks. I don't care if I get anything. I don't want anything. I want my fire department to have something. They're the volunteers that risk their life. And like I said, I know 5 to 7 of them got sick with the COVID on one house fire when that was going on. And it's not been addressed.
I agree with DL, and I'll say this too, if it's truly, because this is just the way the federal government works, because they always come out to be a hard ass to begin with, and then it causes a bunch of problems, and then common sense kicks in, and they go like, oh, we just need to lift all these rules and regs and make it where it really was supposed to be, which is local autonomy at the municipal level. Then I don't see why, if it's unrestricted revenue, if we move it, why we couldn't give anybody anything we wanted to.
If it
Because
goes in
if it
general
gets
fund, we
moved,
can.
and Dean, if it gets moved and we put it in general, if it's in general, we can do what we want to with it.
Correct, if you go with revenue replacement and you put it to general. But if you go with the premium pay,
But we won't tell them that.
volunteers are not included,
Yeah, so
and
we
they
won't-
specifically say that.
So we'll have to come up with a different terminology and a plan or
Yeah, it'll have to be
something.
revenue replacement,
Well,
we'll have
I'm
to
just
come up
gonna
with
tell
that.
you, I'm just gonna tell you, flat out. And we're in a crisis mode with people getting into the fire department, and I love what our fire department's gonna do later on about recruiting these young people. We're in a crisis mode, probably in every department, getting police officers. Will probably has crisis mode trying to find people that are qualified to work at the water department. I know we're in a crisis mode in education on teachers. And these folks, especially when we said first responders, and they went out, they didn't know what they were dealing with. And they get sick.
I agree on that, Tim,
You know?
but everybody in the whole city did the same thing. I'm talking every department, our office, I'm not talking everybody was
But if we have
working.
if we have an opportunity to say thank you, that's what we should do. We should take advantage of that opportunity.
Well, long and
say
short of
thank
it
you.
is though, this plan she's saying is the only way we could possibly pay the volunteers. The other way we can't pay volunteers.
I agree,
Exactly.
I agree with what she's saying.
Oh, I agree with
But
Dana
what,
too.
what I also understand is, once it hits general,
It's kind of free money.
that can be turned into anything
I mean,
else.
what I wanna see is commitment from this council to say, if we do this and it goes back, we're gonna have a plan to.
What to do with it.
What to do with it, because I've been in meetings too where people say one thing and they walk out the door and come back and guess what? It don't get done. Something completely different happens.
This is the only way that you can give volunteers money. The
So-
only way. The other way you can't. Municipal League told us that meeting after meeting.
How would that process work? Okay, I wanna give volunteers, will we move the money over?
You have to do revenue replacement, and then you have to do some type of bonus, whatever.
Right.
And I don't really know, I'll have to ask
That-
them for
that's-
volunteers.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, there's already one set up for the fire
Clothing
department,
allowance
you
could
could
be
add it on
added
to
to
the
it for this
clothing
year.
allowance at the end of the year.
Different than closing line.
I agree totally with that, and that sounds good. That's the way you're gonna only be able to take care of your volunteers.
Yeah.
My question is it's just like he just said, there's gonna have to be some sort of commitment
Yeah.
from
Yeah, we're not
y'all.
gonna do anything with it between now and the next meeting.
Jack, you maybe know,
Parks and
I
Rec.
mean, or Dana, whatever. There was COVID money back,
CARES Act.
CARES Act money, sometimes that.
Is it
Did
gone?
the county use their CARES Act money, or did they use the ARPA money to?
Give their bonuses?
Yeah.
ARPA, correct.
Yeah, it was from ARPA, and it was before,
It was premium pay.
it
Sure,
was before
like
they
you're
started
saying,
releasing.
before
these-
they opened it
yeah,
up.
yeah, Before they
Me
started.
and you talked about, you know, hey, what they're doing with this or that.
I'll-
You six,
I'll tell you, I mean, the council can resolve to do, or resolution or ordinance, this question I'll have to answer later. But you can do everything, move the money and pay it through one document that, in one vote, that'll be instantly actionable. So there shouldn't be trust issues once you get a vote. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not saying
Since
I
it's a one-time
distrust-
payment.
I'm not saying I
so-
distrust anybody, I'm just saying I'm taking care of volunteers
Yeah.
that went out there and
Well,
risked their life doing this.
you shouldn't have to worry about a political process playing out or
it's
a
biting
legislature. It'll be one piece of legislation that'll solve it. They'll move the money, do the revenue replacement, and then pay it, and the checks
whatever
will
you
go out.
decide, we're gonna do X amount for these 40 people.
Yeah, I do know one limitation, I don't know what the monthly payroll is, but that's your limiting factor, because you can only spend at the rate that your payroll goes out.
Right.
So you can't spend the $500,000 instantly because your payroll is not that much.
Right.
We can use like from January to now, January to the end of August, we could use that amount, put that over, because I have separate funds. I actually have another checking account for ARPA funds only, because that was their suggestion. So I put that in another account, so we could use that amount, whatever the salaries were, from January to whatever time y'all wanna choose. And then I can use that much to spend out, because I can put that over to the general fund. Other than that, until we do that, no, Chad's correct.
Can you come up with that amount?
Would that come out, when you say that, would that come out of like fiscal 21, is that the first pot, and then fiscal 22 is the second pot? Since you said you got two, we got money for
What are the
2 years.
breakout?
No, it's gonna be this year is when I'm gonna do it.
Like 22, 23?
Yes, correct.
So, okay, I'm rolling back around, kind of what Tim was talking about, us needing to get an idea of what we're gonna do or what, but just take a bonuses, and you say $1,000 on a bonus, and there's 50 volunteer employees, that's 50 grand, so we're still $400,000 or $450,000
We have
that we gotta do,
523 in there right
I mean, you know, that we'll have as excess.
But not right away.
Yeah.
How much, do you have any estimate how much money we'll have immediately, like when the,
I didn't do that, calculations, but I will. I'll do that.
I'm just thinking, you know, I mean, there's still a pretty big excess that,
Would we
me,
have
I wanna
50,000?
show the city always, hey, we got this, and hey, we went and put you in this, or whatever. You know, done this. We used it for whatever.
we need to build a building for that fire truck.
A building, you know, whatever, yeah. I mean, it could be a fire station, it could be a fitness center, it could be a whatever, but I'm still at the point that we need to show the city that, hey, we've done something. We get this stuff, but we don't show anything that we've done, really.
That's my
I
opinion.
wanna see academy over the softball field.
Yeah,
Or
we're
over
looking.
the.
There needs to be a building for that fire.
But regardless, we have to decide,
I mean-
how we wanna do it. That's the whole purpose of the whole conversation. I understand what you're saying, but just talking about what we wanna do with it don't do nothing if we don't decide where, how we wanna do it.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of what we're trying to decide.
Yeah, now we have to
You
figure.
can talk about what you wanna do with it all day long.
I guess
but
it's
you
like,
gotta
can we
decide how
pass
you
it to do the,
Pardon?
can we pass it to do the replacement deal?
Yeah, you can just make a motion
But-
and say that's how you wanna do it, but then
then-
Chad will have to do a resolution of
That's
what
what I
you
was
wanna
about to
do.
figure out our amount next month.
Yeah.
Or figure out our amount if we want to do a special meeting or
How
something.
much you got to work with?
Right,
We just-
'cause we don't know
we
right
need to
now.
know.
Right now, we just need to know how we're gonna put it back in there.
Sure. Right.
Premium, replacement, they got certain things you can do.
Right.
And the only one that lets us do anything with
Is the
it at all, without having a bunch of rules, is the replacement.
Right. I make a motion, we do the replacement.
Yes, sir.
I second it.
I'm not in charge of it.
So I
He
do,
raised his hand.
I do have a quick question. So, if we do the premium pay, just police and fire get paid. If we do this, everybody gets some,
Right.
potentially. Yes?
No.
No.
Well, it's up to whatever we decide.
Yeah.
So you guys can decide all city employees.
Right,
that
we
work
can go
there.
with Charles's street.
Nobody
guys,
at
they
this
were working.
table,
Okay.
I mean, Dale already said I
so
can
we gotta
have his.
change that.
Yeah,
No.
they'll get
Yeah.
his back.
Yeah, exactly. She did it right. So we got a motion and a second. Go ahead.
I'm good.
I'm good.
We have a motion for what?
Motion second for
The,
premium.
To use it as revenue
Revenue
replacement.
replacement.
I make a
ARPA
motion, we
funds.
use it as revenue replacement.
we already done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they did.
Any other discussion?
I was-
I'll ask for a vote.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay, I'll get the numbers together for you.
Yeah, when you get, that's good. Good job on that. Y'all did spend a lot of time. They didn't jump the gun, so good
Richard,
job.
I think this too, if there's a way that, if there's a way that we get the numbers, if we can do it sooner than later, than the next meeting, I'm not opposed to having a special meeting and stuff for us to
Be
come
fine,
back.
me too.
Be perfect.
I think we ought to.
We'll give her to the end of the week at least. Spend a lot of time on it.
Tomorrow, 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Barry.
Yeah, you just need to know the amount you got to work with, and that, is that fiscal, is that from the first year to now, or? Probably
I'm
don't
gonna do the
matter.
first of the year to
Current.
end of July.
Yeah, there you go.
That
That'll
way
give
we'll
us
have a month.
Pretty good
like
chunk.
that.
I like
All right,
In
thank
that
you.
revenue replacement, is that water department too? Do you need numbers for me, or are we excluded out of that? Is that-
It's just police and fire. It's the only thing you can.
Yeah, we're getting a bunch of money.
That goes to general to be used for minimum.
He's asking about the salary deals. Who can be
Because I
used
do
on the
know- I
salary?
do know that some of that ARPA money could have been spent on water and sewer also.
On that other plan though, not on the one we just voted on.
Not that you changed it now, because it's general, but before it could have been, yes.
You're correct. It could have been.
Street
Okay.
part always gets left out.
That brings us down to new business, a resolution agreement to accept aluminum can recycling proceeds from the county. I'll read this resolution and I'll entertain a motion second to approve and let Chad discuss it. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement to accept aluminum can recycling proceeds from the county, whereas the county has offered to continue aluminum can collection at the animal shelter and to remit the proceeds to the city for shelter operations, and whereas an interlocal agreement is necessary to solemnize this agreement, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, that the mayor is authorized and directed to enter into an interlocal agreement with Van Buren County, Arkansas. Attached is Exhibit A, and Exhibit A is the interlocal agreement. It's agreement into between Van Buren County and the City of Clinton, whereas the city has taken sole ownership and responsibility of the animal shelter, and whereas the county recognizes that the operation of shelter by the city provides benefit to the citizens of Van Buren County, and whereas the county desires to support the shelter operations by continuing to collect aluminum cans at the shelter and remitting the proceeds for the same to the city for the shelter operations. Therefore, it is agreed as follows. 1, this agreement shall commence on the date of execution and shall for a term of 1 year. The term shall automatically renew on a yearly basis unless either party provides notice to terminate at least 30 days prior to the expiration of the term. Number 2, the city shall provide space for the on the premises of the property, currently known as the Buren County Animal Shelter, for aluminum can drop-off point. Number 3, in consideration of the space provided above, the proceeds from any aluminum cans collected by Buren County at the shelter shall be remitted to the city's general fund. Number 4, it is the intent of this agreement that the proceeds realized herein support animal shelter operations. However, the parties recognize the cost to operate the shelter will greatly exceed the proceeds generated pursuant to this agreement. Therefore, the city is under no obligation to create a separate fund for these proceeds or otherwise separately account to use these proceeds as the witnesses, and it's dated. I'll entertain a motion in a second to accept that resolution along with the interlocal agreement.
I'll second it.
Motion second, any discussion? That's, we collect aluminum cans out there, the trailers there. It's probably a good gesture just to have that. People still are gonna drop things off. It's not gonna generate a whole lot of money, but it generates some money, and that's, some is better than none. And the last thing, to answer my question, where will it go into? And it's animal shelter, it can be used however you want, so. You need to add anything, or?
No, I mean, my intention was to try to make it easy to account. I didn't want to make another project to try to keep
We'll just
track
put
of
in animal
what's
control
probably
revenue.
not gonna be a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it generates, but.
Okay.
What's the aluminum cans now per pound?
Not much.
I don't know, yeah.
They gotta wash them.
Gotta watch them incredible.
It's good. Kay,
Every little bit
Counselor was
counts.
out there loading them up the other day, and a bunch get piled in there, so. A good gesture, and that's been there, so. Okay, nothing else, I'll, call for a vote.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
2022-12.
The next is a resolution, it's an addendum to a previous grant agreement for the Clinton Municipal Airport. This is a resolution designating and authorizing the mayor to execute an addendum to a previous grant agreement for the Clinton Municipal Airport. Whereas the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Aviation Administration previously awarded the City of Clinton grant number 3-05-077-018-2020 in the amount of $30,000 under the CARES Act for the Clinton Municipal Airport. And whereas the City of Clinton has offered an addendum to reallocate the grant funds for reimbursement of funds expenditure to improve the fuel farm. A copy of the grant is offered, is attached hereto and incorporated therein as Exhibit A, and that's the original grant. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, that the mayor is a signatory agent or the successor of said agent is hereby authorized and directed to execute that certain grant agreement attached hereto in as Exhibit A. I'll entertain a motion second to approve that.
Make motion to approve this.
Second it.
Second, any discussion? Dan Clinton said that's a $30,000 carry. It was for the fuel tank. It came out of the revenue already in the airport. It'll go back to the airport. It's a even or it's just putting that to bed, finally getting the paperwork done on it, so. They've been looking for that, so. Nothing else, I'll ask for a vote.
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings.
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Pistol.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
2022-13.
Next is a resolution raising the maximum expenditures without confirmation by the city council. Basically, in a nutshell, we talked about it last month. If we write a check for over $2,000, I have to have a meeting and get permission, and talking about tires and et cetera, and we decided to raise that. We're gonna push that up to 5,000. I think that's still got a good handle on everything. I don't think anybody, certainly at this table, would get in and go crazy, but you have to have something in place. This is a resolution raising the maximum expenditures authorized without confirmation by the city council. Whereas a 2022 budget resolution passed by the Council of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, established a 2,000 cap on expenditures without confirmation of the council. And whereas this cap has not been raised for several years and is not in line with the city's day-to-day operating needs in light of inflationary trends. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 3 of the 2022 budget resolution is amended as follows. Section 3A, the mayor or his duly authorized representative may approve for payment out of the funds hereby appropriated for that purpose, disapprove any bills, debts, or liabilities asserted as claims against the city. B, a maximum amount of $5,000 is hereby established, and the payment or disapproval of any bills, debts, or liabilities exceeding that amount shall require the confirmation of the governing body. I'll entertain a motion and a second to pass that resolution.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Is $5,000 enough? I mean, we talked about that last month, I thought.
Yeah, I think it will day-to-day business.
It double and a half what it is now.
It's not,
Is
this
that
is
every
different,
day?
this is different from the next one.
Is that every day?
The next
Yeah.
one's $5,000. That's day-to-day business.
Okay, so that's not.
That's not the one.
This isn't the bidding requirement, this is
No.
just,
This is,
the
So
council
that's
has to vote to approve to spend anything
if
over.
I got a transmission out or something like that, I can go get it fixed.
Yeah, we were at
I can wait a month to
3,600.
do it.
5 is a reasonable, y'all are always available. I mean, 4 of you, we're
That's
pretty
been on
fortunate.
city council, sure.
But it
It's
takes
hard to
care
get a
of
set
a
of
lot.
tires for $2,000 anymore. Way the prices are.
Well, that's why I was saying you have to.
The 5, you can do it pretty easy for 5.
Yeah.
You can do a lot for 5.
We can always look at it later.
And I think part of the thought was, part of the feedback I got was, maybe let's step it up a little bit, and when budget time comes, we can talk about if a bigger number needs to be, but didn't want to sticker shock.
Yeah.
5,000 should cover most of your common breakdowns and stuff like that. Should be somewhere in there reasonable, 5,000. I mean, if it's, even if it's 2,000 or 3,000, I'm still gonna say, hey, this is what I gotta spend to fix this. I mean, I'm not coming to a meeting.
Yeah, you can talk about that, just step it up, even in budget time, you could say, this, any meeting, you could say 5,000 is fine with me.
It keeps us moving forward.
Are you good with that, department heads?
Yes. Yeah, it'll keep us moving.
I mean, I'm gonna come ask y'all, Major, just like tonight, the $9,000, or $7,000, $10,000, whatever it is. If it's in a line item though,
We should be able to spend it.
that's what I was saying, say we have a line item of $10,000 to buy a lawnmower. Would he still have to come back to council when he's ready to buy that mower and?
So,
As long as if it's over $5,000.
Yeah. But if you have it in the line item, you've already allocated that money for that.
So-
So why would you have to come back and ask for it?
Well, you would if you pass this resolution.
That's what I'm asking.
If you pass this resolution, it's anything
Well,
5,000.
right now it's
below.
2,000, so that's what
Right.
I'm saying.
His
When-
point was, why do we do 5,000? Well, I get your point, if you say, and I say, I've got 17,500 for the new remodel,
Right.
I've still gotta come back and say, I'm ready to spend that. I'm sure it's checks and balances, I don't know.
That's why I'm asking, because once you put your budget together and you have a line item of 17,500, you're already allocating that 17,500. So why would you come back to have to ask for the 17,500?
so this is a procedure and a mechanism that's set forth by ordinance by the council. It's not obligated by under state law. And I believe it was 2008, I think. It's been over 10 years. It's been there for a while. This is something that's set up by ordinance by the council, several years ago. And it specifically limits the ability for, it limits the ability of the city officials to go out and
Now, does
spend
it-
money without council approval.
City officials or the mayor himself?
Anybody.
It says anybody?
Yeah. Well, everybody operates through the mayor, so it's anybody. The mayor, any of the mayor's
I
employees.
mean, I don't think
so-
any of us have a problem with that, come and ask and talk about what we're doing.
Yeah.
We want to be
But it-
transparent with
it's-
everything, but I had never figured that out, why, if you have a line item.
Because the council decided they wanted to do this and they passed an ordinance in like 2008. That's why.
You're saying it may be antiquated, the whole thing. Tonight, I'd say do it to 5, and if somebody wants to come back next deal and say, could you put in an amendment saying unless,
The council could repeal that ordinance altogether if the council chooses to do that and say, you know what, the budget process is good enough and we'll review the budget at every monthly meeting, and if they're going over their budget, we can adjust it. You know, they can do all that, but that's not the way this council has been operating for, I guess, about 15 years now. And so that's.
Does anybody know why the council originally did it that way? Was there an issue?
I don't.
I was,
Sam, do you remember?
I don't remember the time.
I was a second year law student, and a young buck. It might have been.
Control. So would we be better off probably to just repeal this and let the department heads, because I don't think any of our department heads are gonna facetiously spend $25,000 because, oh, well, you know, they took a $5,000 cap.
I'd rather see it at 10,000 than to repeal it completely. You know, I
Do you wanna
mean, make
do-
it a little higher, but you still got some kind of control.
I didn't mean to start it, be like, pass what you got, then you can look at it later. I think that's my question.
Way to go, chief.
That's what I'm saying.
Way to go.
The $5,000, if we pass this tonight, then if anything happens in the next month, you can spend up to 5,000 instead of 2,000. If you don't pass this tonight, you're stuck at 2,000 until the next month.
Unless we repeal it.
Well, no, you can't repeal it tonight. There ain't nothing there to repeal.
It was put in 2008.
You have to wait a month.
Hadn't been boss very long.
Hey, Charles is talking, he wants to tell you.
It was put in.
Charles, you have the explanation of why that was put in.
It was put in 2008. I hadn't been department head very long. The mayor was gonna give everybody X amount of Christmas bonus. Well, 2 council members got mad and said no. And then they put a cap on it, so he couldn't give but this amount. They come back later and done another one and X'd it down even lower. So that's where this cap come from. I was sitting in the meeting when it all happened.
I don't think overall it's a bad idea.
It was a Christmas bonus and they didn't want him giving more out.
It's not a bad idea, but you know, Dale's right, if you've already done it, why do you just keep beating it to death? I don't think anybody here would run out, I don't, but until they
You're still
do.
limited because
I don't
it's
know,
budgeted.
ask the accountants, I mean, that's how fraud happens. It's just as easy too, it's over 10, it might not be a bad idea to say, hey, 4 of you get together, I'm fixing to pull the trigger on this. But maybe not, but I'm gonna do it, this is pass what we got, and then the next meeting, if you wanna just repeal it and get away with it, I don't think some sort of cap is bad, what the amount is.
For example, it's like the 7950 I asked for tonight.
Yeah.
You have money in the fund
Right.
that's already
You could have
dedicated
written
for
the check.
that. But it came in just before I went on vacation,
Right.
so I wasn't here at that last meeting, so we're probably sitting 30
Jeff's
days out
right,
on
what's
this
the
bill.
amount that's fair,
It's not due
20,
yet.
50,
Not due yet.
10?
I've been waiting on them to call.
No.
Well, my thing is, it looks to me like if a council made a budget and said, you're gonna have, well, you can have this money, why do they have to come back and ask, like
Right,
this, why do they come
right.
back and ask for it
Yeah,
again?
that's,
I mean, now, if they're asking for something new
Yeah.
money, then yeah, you
Yeah.
can come to the city council and ask for it.
yeah.
Well, if you budget me $10,000 this line item, and I spend that $10,000 by October, and I'm coming back November going, hey,
That's
I need
the
more money,
point.
then that's where you go,
That's the
where'd
point.
you do this, spend
Yeah,
$10,000?
we're in good shape if you don't, somebody said, don't spend money just because it's in there. Now, I think that's the main reason to have a cap. You could say, no, wait a minute, Will, why are you getting that pump? You know, why not get the 3/4 instead of 1.5 inches? That's, I don't think it's in there as a bad thing personally, but whatever y'all decide suits me. But what we have is motion a second for 5, and I agree with Dewey's point tonight. Anything else?
That'll get me through mechanic.
Right.
That's, I mean, if I've got something broke down, that'll get me started on it, and then if I need more later, I can come back.
Happy birthday.
What about the rest of you? Does that help y'all, or would more money be better?
I'm good.
Because we can,
It's a lot better than 2,000, because I could buy a set of tires.
It's gonna hurt him more than it
Lynch's?
than it will me.
Tim, what do you think? Is that okay enough for you?
Stepping up, whatever.
I don't know.
I've got
Can
more
you make
questions.
it work?
I've got more
Can you make
questions
it
about
work?
another ordinance than this one. So I'm good to go. I think we're
All right, so we voting on this?
Evaluate it.
Yeah, let's.
I make a motion.
We already
Are
got.
we good?
Okay, so we already did that.
We're ready.
I'll ask for a vote
Sorry.
on this particular.
Vote, we're changing the world.
always
Barnes,
Yes.
Hastings,
Yes.
Lynch, Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
2022-14.
Okay, brings us to the ordinance repealing and bidding requirements, first, second, and third reading. I didn't change the agenda, but this doesn't have an emergency clause on this. It'd take effect within 30 days. Talk to city attorney, and it'd be the same effect if we just did the first reading, and then since it's not gonna go in effect for 30 days, and we're all in agreement with this, we could do the second and third reading and emergency clause at the next meeting. Be the same deal, give everybody a month to chew on it. Because you don't vote now, this is an ordinance, of the city of Clinton, Arkansas, to resolve unnecessary bidding requirements. Whereas the city of Clinton Municipal Code currently requires competitive bidding for all purchases in excess of $10,000. And whereas the city of Clinton, Arkansas is classified as Arkansas City of the second class, and whereas the Arkansas law does not require cities of the second class to take bids for general purchasing, but does require bidding for certain contracts exceeding $50,000 pursuant to ACA or 22-9203. And whereas there is a need to repeal the existing bidding requirements in the municipal code that are not required under Arkansas law. Now therefore it be it ordained by the city council of the city of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, the following sections of Title III of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clinton, Arkansas are hereby repealed. Section 3.04.01, Section 3.04.02, and Section 3.04.04. In Section 2, savings and repeal, that all ordinances or parts of the ordinance that in conflict with this ordinance are repealed to the extent of such conflicts. In Section 3, servability, that should any word or sentence, clause, or paragraph or provision of this ordinance be held to be invalid or unconstitutional, the remaining provision of the ordinance shall remain in full effect. I'll entertain a motion in a second
And make a motion to adopt it.
to adopt this ordinance.
We're not adopting.
On the first reading.
Put it on first
Put it
reading.
on first reading, which I
That
just
was
read.
the first reading.
Yes.
Any discussion? You want to explain anything or?
I just have a few questions. Chad, he'll probably go into your discussion and stuff. And I may be totally wrong on this, but I do have concerns when you lift bidding requirements and things, because I've had an incident happen several years ago where this was put on the agenda at another governing body that shouldn't have been on there to begin, because it wasn't on the agenda, it was just brought up. And the person felt like that it was about 10 grand or something, that just hamstrung everybody. That you just can't do it. Well, the governing body voted to go ahead illegally, to go ahead and lift that. But what happened after that is what got me really concerned, because every time after that, the person in charge never, ever came back and reported back to that particular board about money that was spent. He just felt like that he could go out and spend whatever, and he didn't have to get it bidded, and he didn't have to come back and report back. And there was probably hundreds of thousands of dollars that got spent. Some of it in needed areas, but some of it, there wasn't any accountability. He felt like he didn't have any accountability to come back and report to that board what he spent. So that's the issue that I have. I know that probably $10,000 if we're looking at it, but I look at it more of a check and balance, like Richard was saying, that you have to hold somebody responsible for the money that you spend. And if you just, what's the definition of general purchasing? What's the legal definition? Is that
certain contracts?
I know, I looked at 22-9203, so I'm not a lawyer, but I do know on certain things, municipalities have to bid those. But you're saying that we're removing this cap, this $10,000, and that anybody, you know, there's not a vote on the council or something that, you know, if council members and the mayor or anybody else wanted to go out and just buy something over $10,000, that they can do it, and normally that purchase would have been bidded out. I mean, that's just the concern that I have, because I just see more people, unfortunately, taking advantage of this situation than looking at the big picture. I see someone being real kind of focused on stuff and not saying, well, we have to come back and let something else. So I don't know. That's just my concern when you just say, well, we're not gonna have any bidding at all on general purchasing, that these people can just kind of go out and, I'm not saying that anybody would do anything wrong, but I've seen it done wrong.
We're
And
still
when
bound
you-
by the 5,000.
You know,
We're still bound by the 5,000. So we can't go spend 50,000 if you pass this without coming here and saying, hey, this is gonna cost this much money, because we're still bound to 5,000.
well, you're
just
bound
don't
by
have to be
50,000,
bid.
you're
I just
bound
don't
by
have to bid it out.
50,000 based on what the project is.
I just don't have to bid it out. If I wanna get a new lawnmower, I can come in and say, hey, I have $10,000 right now. A lawnmower, a good lawnmower that runs at the shop runs $10,000, $14,000, $15,000. So I gotta drive around and do a month's worth of work before I can buy a lawnmower. And everything that we usually buy is through Sourcewell, so it's already bidded out for us. And all this is gonna do is stop me if I need to go out here and do some street patching. I can go ahead and get somebody to come in and do the street patching, and I don't have to wait and do 3 months worth of work, and then by that time, snow's falling and it's over with, or they're busy doing something else.
The way I see it, it's the council's job to keep an eye on the budget and see what money's being spent. And this is a lazy council's way of saying, well, we put this there and then we don't have to worry about it because they're capped anyway and they have to come see us. To me, if we do it the way the municipality recommends, then if we do our job, then we look at the financials every month, and when we see something funny, then we address it. But to me, these caps, they just cause more work for your employees, and it's less work for us. And you know, I don't know. I think that.
Well, I mean, and I agree, Jeff, I agree with you. But the thing about it is, like I said, my thing was, nobody came back to that other board and said a word. And when you don't have, not a whole lot of us are real experienced on budgets and stuff like that. I just want someone to tell me, I don't care, we can get rid of the cap, or we can get rid of it, or whatever. As long as somebody comes back and is a part of their report on finances, that says this is what I bought. Because even looking at the finances, the budget stuff here, it's, you know, it's not the easiest thing to read. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's friendlier than some financial reports that I've dealt with, but it's not the friendliest financial report that we can put out with. And I'm not saying anybody just will go out and spend whatever. I just want, you know, like you said, we need to be accountable. I want everybody to be accountable and not feel like, well, you know, since I don't do this, I can do that.
Somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but when I read it, it says Arkansas law does not require us to take bids on anything for general purchasing, only on certain contracts above $50,000. Right, that's what it's saying.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a generalization.
Right,
the way
but
I
that's
wrote
what.
it, but yeah.
But that's what that's saying. That's saying for second-class cities don't have to take bids on anything for general purchasing, but we have a deal set in place, an ordinance that says right now $5,000. If they're going to spend more than $5,000, they got to come talk about it. Even if on their line item it says $20,000, they got to come talk to us if they spend anything more than $5,000.
Well,
but all this is about taking bids.
Yeah.
This is not about spending any money at all. This is only about taking bids. So, only thing this is doing is saying, I don't have to take bids for anything less than $50,000. I can pick somebody that I want to do it without having to get bids. I can't spend the money, I can only not have to take bids. Is all this is saying,
Is
right?
that right?
Yeah, so let's say you pass this at some point, but you still have your $5,000 cap on. What that's gonna be is if there's a purchase that needs to happen that's $7,000, well, no, let's make it a $12,000 purchase. There's not a need to get bids for that purchase. However, there's still gonna have to be either a regular meeting or they're gonna have to call a special meeting to approve that purchase, so it's still gonna have to run through you.
This is
So
just for bids.
I think, to meet your concerns, probably the resolution that you just passed is gonna be more effective, is what I think. And that's what I think. I'll tell you, as from a lawyer's perspective, what I prefer about this ordinance is that it takes me to Arkansas law, and I'm following Arkansas law, not some city council passed code that may or may not make a lot of sense. And I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying, versus a statute that's got 25 cases that I can go and read and see what the courts have done when people do something that's a challenge. So this just puts you back under Arkansas law. And there is a $50,000 cap for, it's really I believe it's called public improvements. The way I read that is it would be difficult for me to find a $50,000 purchase that wouldn't fit under the bidding requirement. So there are certain things that are absolutely exempt from bidding, but for the most part, we're gonna need to be bidding if we're over 50,000. But I think the feedback I got is that it's time consuming. A little unwieldy.
Work on me. I'm out here trying to weed, eat, mow, and everything else, and I don't have time to run around and chase and meet people and do bids and all that. While I don't have a crew, so I have to work right along my crew, the same as they do.
And if you go with this, do you not fall into the municipal league? And the municipal league, if we're a member of that, we should have people that have already, instead of him going looking for bidders, the municipal league has bidders lined up on certain jobs, so he doesn't have to do that.
Once I get to their code, I can call them.
Right, and they'll say, you're bidding on this, or here, call this guy, because we have a deal with them through the municipal league.
I think one advantage of this, because you see somebody that you want to do the job, and then you see somebody that you absolutely do not want to do the job, but they're gonna get the low bid. Of course, you can fix that by, we don't have to take the low bid. But when you have somebody that's doing a good job, and they're in the area, and they say, hey, I will go ahead and do this, it's a big advantage. And Jeff's right, so you don't have to come back ever. If you trust your people, but then again, that's the way you get zapped. But I think as far, a good example, this last overlay and stuff, I was getting a lot of calls, and the guy said, he said, my house saying the mayor recommended him. I'm like, I've never even met this human. And I went out there and just told him it's bad. Ended up being good. So, but I like this, following Arkansas law, suits me fine.
But this is not for spending money, this is just for bids.
This is the bidding portion.
There's nothing about spending money in this.
So at the end of the day, if we repeal this ordinance, is that what we're talking about doing, right? Repealing the ordinance we had?
Yeah, if you vote to repeal, so those are 3 specific ordinances that talked about bidding requirements for anything over $10,000.
If we repeal that, we still have our $5,000. They still, if they're gonna spend more than that, they still have to come to us, and then at that point, you can say, well, did you get bids?
Even if you
could always
don't,
make them get a
even
bid.
if you don't, they gotta do that, because this has nothing to do with spending. This has nothing to do with spending. This is only taking bids.
That's a good point. The council on a case-by-case basis, you could.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna approve this.
Even if either way we do
this
it, that's
expenditure
still
over-
the case.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
What
of
I'm
the
saying,
last one we just passed.
this takes away them having to get a bid on everything.
Exactly.
But we still have as a fallback, right now, this $5,000 resolution. If they're spending more than that, they still have to come before the council, and at that point, we could say, maybe you should get another bid, or whatever, but.
Right.
And you can up that.
At the end of the day,
like
my
you said.
opinion is, I think the council, or the previous council, has tried to be too controlling over, and micromanaging, and that's not what it's about. I mean, there's checks and balances, I understand, and that's why we're supposed to look at our reports and our financial statements and all that, so I'm fine with it, but.
repeal, okay. And it's still the first reading, and like I said, we didn't put on merge call. It's gonna be the same result, so. Any other discussion? Vote to repeal, I'll entertain go ahead and make a vote, roll call.
Barnes,
Yes.
Yes.
Hastings, Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Next one is an ordinance prohibiting excessive noise. This is the first reading, and I will read this. Entertain, motion.
We'll take a roll. Anybody else to read it?
What?
You want anybody else to read it?
If somebody wants to, Jay, it's your birthday. I'll read it because it's this was, and I'll let Chad explain after I read it. It's kind of Jake breaks or compression breaks. Council member had a good point on this. This is the first reading. I'll just read the ordinance. This is an ordinance of the city of Clinton, Arkansas to prohibit excessive noise in city limits. Whereas the prohibition of excessive noise is necessary to protect the health and welfare of the city of Clinton. Now therefore be it ordained by the city council of the city of Clinton, Arkansas, Section 1, Title 7 of the Code of Ordinances in the city of Clinton, Arkansas is hereby amended to add Chapter 7.09 as follows. Noise, Sections 7.0801, 7.0902 is general, prohibited acts, 7.0903 responsible person, 7.0904 exceptions, 7.0905 penalties, and 7.0906 other remedies, 7.0901 general. It shall be unlawful for any person to willfully make, continue, or cause to be made or continued any loud and raucous noise which in turn shall mean any sound which, because of volume, level, duration, and character of noise, disturbs, injures, or endangers the comfort, health, peace, or safety of reasonable persons of ordinary sensibilities within the city limits as defined below. 7.09.02 Prohibited acts. The following acts and the causing thereof are declared to be in violation of this ordinance. A. Engine exhaust. The discharge into the open air or exhaust of any steam engine or stationary internal combustion engine except through a muffler or other device which shall effectively prevent loud and disturbing noises therefrom. Noise and smoke producing devices shall be prohibited. ACA 27-37-601. Number 1, every motor vehicle shall at all times be equipped with a factory installed muffler or duplicating factory specification in good working order or in constant operation to prevent excessive or unusual noise and or annoying smoke. 2, no person shall use a motor vehicle upon the public roads, highways, streets, or alleys of this city, nor shall any person sell for the use of on a motor vehicle upon public roads, highways, streets, or alleys in this city a muffler other than as defined in ACA 27-37-601A, using a cutout, bypass, or similar device, or any type of device which produces excessive unusual noise or smoke. B, engine brakes. The creation or emission of exhaust noises through the use of an engine brake or other similar engine compression retarding device so as to create a loud or disturbing noise except when such devices are used as a safety device. C, radios, television, boom boxes, phonographs, stereos, musical instruments, and similar devices. The use or operation of radio, television, boombox, stereo, musical instruments, or similar devices that produces or reproduces sound in a manner that is plainly audible to any person other than the players or operators of the device, and those who are voluntarily listening to the sound, and which unreasonably disturbs the peace, quiet, and comfort of neighbors and passerby, or is plainly audible at a distance of 50 feet from any person in a commercial, industrial area, or public space. The use or operation of radio, television, boombox, stereos, musical instrument, or similar device that produces or reproduces sounds in a manner that is plainly audible to any person other than the players or operators of the device and those who are voluntarily listening to the sound, and unreasonably disturbs the peace, quiet, and comfort of neighbors in a residential or noise-sensitive area, including multifamily or single-family dwellings. D, motor vehicle radios, vehicle horns, signaling devices, and similar sound devices using, operating, or permitting to be played by any radio, music player, or audio system in a motor vehicle which produces or reproduces sound in such manner as to cause a loud and disturbing noise which is plainly audible to persons other than the occupants of said vehicle. Phrases need not be discernible and bass reverberations are included. Plainly audible means any sound produced by a sound amplification system from within the vehicle. The sounding of any horn, signaling device, or similar device on any automobile, motorcycle, or other vehicle on any right-of-way or in any public space of the city of Clinton for more than 10 consecutive sounds. The sounding of any horn, signaling device, or other similar devices is a danger warning, is exempt from this prohibition. Sounding or permitting sounding of any amplified signal from any bell, chime, siren, whistle, or similar device intended primarily for non-emergency purposes from any place for more than 10 consecutive seconds in an hourly period. The reasonable sounding of such devices by houses of religious worship, ice cream trucks, seasonal contribution solicitors, or by the city of Clinton for traffic control purposes are exempt from the operation of this provision. The intentional sounding or permitting of the sounding outdoors of any emergency signaling device, including fire, burglar, civil defense alarm, siren, whistle, or similar emergency signaling device, except in emergency or except as provided in subsections below. Number 1, testing of an emergency signaling device shall occur between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Any testing shall use only the minimum cycle test time. In no case shall such a test time exceed 5 minutes. Testing of the emergency signaling system shall not occur more than once in each calendar month. Sounding or permitting, I have to look at that, sounding or permitting the sounding of any exterior burglar or fire alarm or any motor vehicle burglar alarm. E, building, construction, or repair. The erection, including excavation, demolition, alteration, or repair of any building so as not to create a loud or disturbing noise between the hours of 10 p.m. until dawn every day of the week, except in case of urgent necessity in the interest of public health and safety, and then only with a permit from the city of Clinton, which permit may be granted only while the emergency exists. If the city should determine that the public health and safety necessitates the issuance of such a permit and will not be impaired by the erection, demolition, alteration, or repair of any building, or the excavation or repair of any building, or the excavation of streets within the hours of 10 p.m. and dawn every day of the week, it may grant permission for such work to be done with such hours, or within a time period during such hours, upon application being made at the time the permit for the work is issued during the progress of the work. F, animals and birds. Unreasonably loud and raucous noise emitted by an animal or bird from which a person is responsible. A person is responsible for an animal if the person owns, controls, or otherwise cares for the animal or bird. Sounds made by animals or birds in animal shelters, kennels, veterinary hospitals, pet shops, or pet kennels, licensed and in compliance with licensing and permitting provisions set forth by the city of Clinton, are exempt from this subsection. G, loading and unloading. Loading, unloading, opening, closing, or hauling, or other handling of boxes, crates, containers, building materials, garbage cans, or similar objects between the hours of 10 p.m. and dawn the following day in such a manner as to cause a noise disturbance across a residential real property boundary. H, domestic power tools. Operating or permitting the operation of any mechanically powered saw, sander, drill, grinder, lawn or garden tool, snow blower, or similar device used outdoors in residential areas, between the hours of 10 p.m. and dawn the following day so as to cause a noise disturbance across a residential real property boundary. I, loudspeakers, amplifiers, public address systems, and similar devices, the unreasonable, loud, and raucous use of or operation of a loudspeaker, amplifier, public address system, or other device for producing or reproducing sound between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. on weekdays, and 10 p.m. and 10 a.m. on weekends and holidays in the following areas. Number 1, within or adjacent to residential or non-sensitive areas. 2, within public space if the sound is plainly audible across the real property line of the public space from which the sound emanates and is unreasonably loud and raucous. This shall not apply to any public performance, gathering, or a parade for which a permit has been obtained from the City of Clinton. 7.0903, reasonable or responsible person. Any person, owner, agent, or supervisor in charge of operating, ordering, directing, or allowing the operation or activity creating noise shall be guilty of a violation of this article and subject to penalty. 7.0904. The provisions of this ordinance shall not apply to the emissions of sound for the purpose of altering persons to the existence of an emergency or the emission of sound in the performance of emergency work. B, the term loud and disturbing noise does not include noise or sound generated by the following: radios, sirens, horns, bells on police, fire, and other emergency response vehicles. Number 2, the testing of emergency tornado warning systems, sirens, horns, and bells. Number 3, public activities or in municipal parks, July 4th activities, Archie Fest, etc. School athletic facilities, sporting events, musical productions, parades, and other activities with the approval of the mayor or the city council, of the Clinton City Council. Number 4, evacuation of emergency work repairs of utilities, bridges, streets, or highways on behalf of the City of Clinton, Van Buren County, or the State of Arkansas during the nighttime when the public welfare and convenience renders it impossible to perform such work during the day. Number 5, the provision shall not apply to sound trucks duly licensed under the provision of any revenue ordinance or ordinance of the city in connection with political rallies. 6, fire alarms and burglar alarms prior to the giving notice of a reasonable opportunity for the owner or tenant in possession of the premises served by any such alarm to turn off the alarm. 7, religious worship activities conducted in a permanent structure, including but not limited to bells, chimes, and or organs. This includes regularly scheduled church bells, chimes, or music. Number 8, the movement of aircraft, which is in all respects conducted in accordance with or pursuant to applicable federal laws or regulations. And number 9, fireworks displays within such hours and conditions as may be imposed by the issuance of a permit or discharging of fireworks is allowed by the ordinance of the city. 7.0905, penalties. Any person violating any provision of this ordinance shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor upon the conviction by the District Court of Van Buren County and shall be subjected to a penalty of not less than $100 plus court costs and not more than $500 plus court costs. 7.0906, other remedies. No provision of this ordinance shall be construed to impair any common law or statutory cause of action or legal remedy therefrom of any person for injury or damage arising from any violation of this ordinance from other law. Section 2, savings and repeal, that all ordinance or parts of this ordinance in conflict with this ordinance are repealed to the extent of such conflicts. And Section 3, servability, that should any word, sentence, clause, phrase, or provision of this ordinance be held invalid or inconstitutional, the remaining provisions of this ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. You can explain where that came from and why we added this and what.
I think I was gonna be paid by the word, so I've made it really long. wanted something longer, so I made some.
What's that? Everybody get that?
No, so I think noise complaints have been a bit of a growing issue, and it's been talked about for a while now. The nuisance ordinance we did a couple of years ago has one line about noise, but really it was really a real property conditions ordinance that we were passing. The intent was to do real property conditions. And so it did have one line that discusses unnecessary, unauthorized noises and annoying vibrations, including animal noises. That really didn't give law enforcement or code enforcement any sort of guidelines as to what that meant. And so what you have here is something that's comprehensive and should be specific and touch on anything, or hopefully it's going to touch on anything that's been discussed and that you want to decide are noise issues that you want to regulate. This came from City of Highfield, which is up in northwest Arkansas, a little bit bigger than us, but not a whole lot bigger. I think it's where the airport actually is. So this ordinance came from them. It was recommended by the municipal council. Lanny Richmond passed this on and said, here's a good example. I looked at it. It looks like, again, it's comprehensive, and you can certainly say, strike this. I don't want to regulate this particular action. You can strike it out, and we can do that, or pass it as is. So
first reading, I guess we better get a motion second, place on the first reading.
Motion.
Which I did.
On the first reading.
Discussion of which we're doing now. I'll ask for a vote here in
I
a
have a
minute.
question.
Go ahead.
Believe it or not, I listened to what you just said. Is it my understanding that, say, an auction house that's running after 10 o'clock and the neighbor hears the auctioneer talking, that's a misdemeanor without getting a permit from the city?
Pay up.
I was asking what a permit was.
That's what I'm calling Jay.
I thought it was I thought that was covered within the normal standards of operating of it. Maybe not. Maybe I read that into.
Until 10 o'clock. If 10 o'clock
Right.
PM, then.
Well, this is, like I said, this is, he said, it's Lenny Richmond.
Had to be audible across the real property line, number one.
I'm on the microphone.
I can
Yeah,
hear
I want
you.
it
I can hear you
amplified.
about mom and dad.
Well, it's the same thing with the cell bar. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Loud as you.
That's right. I'll throw rocks at you.
So does this only apply
Call the
to,
police. I'm throwing
does this only apply to sounds that originate in the city or sounds that can be heard in the city?
That's-
well, they'd have to originate the city to be
So
actually.
if they're across the city limit line and they're
Yeah,
blasting
somebody could park right over the city line and just blast everybody in the city, and you couldn't do anything about it. Yeah, I think that's true, yeah.
Chip punching holes in it already.
Good work, though.
So,
That's a good point. I mean, if
I mean,
you wanna,
I don't
but
know.
here's the thing. We can fix it by riding around it. That's a, that's.
I just didn't want you to pass it and it'd be a misdemeanor
Well,
on my behalf of my regular
it's
job.
first reading.
I guess you're in a commercial, you're in a zone commercial area, I think, right? Are you? I think you're highway commercial.
Everything along 65. 's
So you're
commercial, yes.
operating out of highway commercial, so I think you're
okay.
I think you're okay because you're operating in highway commercial. But I'm gonna look at it. Right
Okay.
here.
I didn't want him calling me in and him writing me a ticket.
Yeah.
Well, the other point was made by someone about,
This is, and Dewey said, I mean, this is for noise intrusions upon residential real property. So I think that's gonna exclude your activity because you're operating on commercial property.
Across 65 would be the closest house to you.
Juanita Smith, don't
That
worry
means I
about it.
can't.
But you're not gonna be a lot louder, you ain't gonna be much louder than traffic on 65.
Well,
That's just because the way sound carries.
if Jason is changing a tire because some guy broke down at 11 o'clock at night, it could be excessive.
That falls in the
That's in an emergency.
Okay.
There's an
Well, it's
I
just-
promise I ain't gonna be up there changing
Well,
tires.
it's the same.
I need you, man.
One at a
I had a
time.
question to Richard
One at a
about
time.
I had a question to Richard about the Jake brakes. Because, but it answers it in there for safety purposes. Either way you come into this city, you're coming downhill. And it's a long ways downhill up there, and Jake brakes are for safety. those trucks need those.
I think,
But they need
coming off
But they
of,
need
I think
to-
coming down off 16 west and coming down north of town, I'm not a truck driver, but I think that's probably somewhere where
But
it's in the city
it
limits.
says for safety reasons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
so
tell you
they
where,
go down-
I'll tell you a specific example of where I do not think they're necessary
Front of
is
Walmart.
coming down the hill from,
KFC?
well, no, coming down the hill into Choctaw.
Pole Yard Hill.
Coming down, coming down
I hear
Pole
'em
Yard here, and I can sit at my mom's, I can sit at my
Mom
mom's
lives there. Oh.
living
Yeah.
room from a quarter mile away from the highway, and I can hear them
Well,
in the middle of the night. So that's the sort of thing that people want to get rid of.
And they'll run them all the way down Pole Yard Hill, they'll run them all the way to Highway 9.
And there's no truck driver I've talked to that told me that they think that that's necessary.
Right.
Well, the other complaint I've had, the multiple, is across the road in the Sedgefield area.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm not saying they're necessary everywhere, I'm just saying there are places.
But I
Coming down
believe-
into Clinton from 65 north.
I've drove,
Well, I know.
a lot of them, and all of them had exhaust brakes, and all of them had mufflers on them, and you didn't know if I had the exhaust brake on or not on.
There's a big difference.
I drove a propane truck forever, and when I reached over and flipped the brake on, nobody knew the brake was on. So, there's a big difference between everybody jerking all the mufflers off.
Straight
and having
exhaust,
straight
yeah,
pipes
straight
sticking
pipe.
up, and.
Well, I agree, I'm just saying there is a necessity for the jack brake at times,
I mean, in my opinion.
whether or not it's loud or not.
I'll
Go for the
say, I will say this much, on behalf of my dog Baxter, Mountain 5-2, barks at night at a light blinking. So I'm glad that he will be exempt, because it will be in his little kennel and stuff like that, but he will say thank you. I bring him up, he can bark and do this, so I can't keep him quiet for no reason.
You can go through that and
And I'm gonna encourage everyone to read this, because I don't want people to poke holes in it, because I don't want us to pass something that everyone's like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous.
Well, it's
So-
section D, subsection 1 too, I don't know if everybody caught that, but the testing equipment, just once a month, we do ours weekly. don't we?
yeah, that's.
But it also says,
It also
later on, it says tornado warning
Yeah.
systems are exempt, period.
Yeah.
Down there in
Further down,
70904B.
I saw
Yeah, I
the
think-
exhaust, you can get in trouble with that, and I was like,
But just for continuities, I think that needs to be.
Does that mean I
Clean
can?
it up,
Yeah.
probably, 'cause I'll circle that, I don't hear what you're saying, 'cause we do every Wednesday at noon.
motion and a second to put on the first reading, I actually still need a, in this kind of work.
Yeah, but it
I'll ask her.
is, that's
We've already
right.
done that, we just need a vote.
What do you need to vote?
Barnes? We're voting.
Yes.
Hastings?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yep.
Pistol?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Brings us down to public comment. Any public comment? Or one thing, I will entertain a motion, for all the public, but we all want to start back at 6:30.
I would sure enjoy it. if it was-
You're what?
I would like it if the meeting we could move to 6:30.
Okay, does everybody entertain a motion, a second, to go back to 6:30?
I'll make a motion, we go back to 6:30.
I'll
I'll
second.
Jason and some of them.
I'll second.
So, any discussion?
Which is 8:30 right now, it'd be 9, but.
Well, I don't have it with the regular meeting, it's just whenever we move them to a different night. Because I have my city council meeting night on my calendar, I know when it is, but when it gets moved, then I gotta start trying to juggle around. Like tonight, I was gonna be later than I thought. I mean, I got here earlier than I thought I was gonna be, but,
You weren't the last one.
yeah, but
Okay, I'll take, yeah, we meet on the 8th, point well taken. But the time is okay. 6:30?
oh, I prefer 6, but on regular meetings, I bet now if it's moved. To me, if we're gonna have to move the meeting to another night, then the time of the meeting should also be able to be moved around.
Gotcha.
If we say, okay, we're not gonna be able to meet this regular first or second Thursday, we're gonna have to meet Wednesday, well, we might have to adjust the time instead of 6.
You need to amend it,
6:30.
say the regularly scheduled meetings, second Thursday at 6:30.
For me, I get off work at 5 o'clock, whether it's Tuesday the 11th or Thursday the 26th. I mean, it's me literally having to sometimes push people out of my office to get my doors locked, to go home, to take a shower. Now, I can come straight from work to here.
We don't want that.
Some people will not like that.
That'd be all right,
Like, at
Sean.
least go home and take a shower.
Will.
I just like, I like the second Thursday, 6:30 is fine with me. People do need time. Sometimes you get caught up, some of us get caught up in stuff where,
Yeah, 'cause this one started at 6 and it's 8:30. I still had late supper. I didn't get a chance to eat after work either. So if it's 6:30, I've got a half an hour. I can grab something to eat.
Anybody else? Department heads? 6:30, fine?
Checking the book.
You just tell me. I'll be-
You don't get to vote, but, anybody else on the council, whatever you want. I'm good.
What about you, Warren? It's fine with me.
Warren don't care.
He never goes home. God. He got nothing to do. Okay, I'll entertain, or I'll ask for a vote.
Barnes,
yes.
Hastings,
Yeah.
Lynch,
Yes.
Pistol,
Yeah.
Ward,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You need that or?
Yeah, that was right there. Brings us to mayor's comment. See Paula back there. Give our best to Corinne. We miss her. She's part of this institution, so I think she's on the mend. Roy Dean Dempsey and Jimmy Kidd's better. Several need to remember, passed away, Boyd Williams family. I know that's probably has nothing to do with city council, but it really does. William Young, Amy Bonds, that was Danny K. Brown's mother. And of course, Rena's, Jason's mom, is tomorrow at 6, I believe. So probably that family's done as much for people of Buren County as any family. And so be sure that's 6 o'clock tomorrow. And Jason, we're seriously thinking about you and praying for you. And stuff.
I appreciate it.
And then on a happy note, Chuck wagons are already starting to move in. I think we feed on the 30th, so they're in town. They're ready for them. And on a happy note, Jay, I appreciate you coming in off your vacation on your birthday. Happy birthday. If nothing else, I'll entertain a motion second to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.